If you want to see my videos early, extended, and uncut, visit patreon.com/traplawross, where you can sign up for just $2. When it comes to Chicago drill in recent years, no name has rung bells in the streets as hard as King Von. The self-proclaimed black disciple demon turned drill rapper was a formidable force in the streets, and he got knee-deep in the Chicago gang wars against the BD's bitter rivals, the Gangster Disciples. And with his right-hand man T-Roy, committed a series of murders which I have documented extensively on these channels. While Von was in jail fighting a murder charge between 2014 and 2017, tragedy would strike, when his right-hand man T-Roy would lose his life gunned down by a rival while allegedly out looking to catch an enemy of his own.
Now they see me, I'm just walking around in circles on the deck, you know. And they put their arm around me when I'm like, damn, you good, bro? You good? What's wrong with you, Von? Yeah, I'm good. What's wrong? You got a problem, man? I'm good, you know. They what happened? I mean, they just killed T-Roy. Who? He what? I'm T-Roy. They just killed T-Roy. Oh, I got it breaking down on King Dave. I couldn't help it. They hugging me. These some real. You know what I'm saying? We grown ass men. Both grab me to hold me. Get to there. You gonna be alright, shorty. You gonna be alright. Oh, hold on, boy. That's my best friend, boy. Somebody just killed my best friend while I'm in jail. I'm in that bitch better go crazy. Oh, I'm in that bitch. Don't know what's going on. I'm in that bitch in that. Who the fuck is y'all? I'm in that bitch mad on. Oh, yeah. I'm in that bitch in that. Nah, not my best friend. You know what I'm saying?
King Von spoke extensively in interviews, IG lives, and his lyrics about the devastating impact of losing T-Roy. But when Von did get out of jail after beating his charges, he returned to the streets with his remaining friends and embarked on a rap career that would be a runaway success, leaving the action in the streets to other black disciples repping the gang in O-Block. And with a group of friends just as ruthless as Von and T-Roy were, continuing to wage war in the streets, while Von himself became a millionaire rapper and continued funding the violence in his neighborhood. And for Von's shooters, they would be ready to kill for him at a moment's notice. But in the treacherous streets of Chicago's South Side, loyalty can be a double-edged sword. For Muwop, this loyalty was personified in his deep connection with King Von, a bond forged growing up together with Von in the heart of O-Block, one of the city's most infamous neighborhoods. From their earliest days running the streets together to the meteoric rise of the drill scene, Muwop and King Von were inseparable, with their loyalty to each other being as fierce as their reputations. Muwop was allegedly one of the first people running out the car and pulling the trigger when one of O-Block's most hated rivals, FBG Duck, was spotted shopping downtown. Muwop, along with a handful of other O-Block natives, would commit one of the most brazen murders in Chicago history, with the drill itself being so reckless that the group of men involved would later be referred to as the Sloppy Six. Unfortunately for those involved, King Von would end up losing his life in an unrelated incident just a couple of months after the murder of Duck, and since Von had spent the last few years rapping openly about committing 7 murders, it would seem that the rest of the O-Block shooters felt like they were equally untouchable. Unfortunately, that wouldn't be true, and with King Von out of the picture, when the feds rounded up Duck's killers, they didn't stand a chance, especially considering how Muwop 2 had seemingly copied Von's approach to rapping, openly claiming his involvement in the murder in music for the whole world to hear. So today, we're going to be going over the story of Muwop, the O-Block shooter who threw his life away trying to be just like King Von. Before we go any further, I just want to give a huge thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Fume. Now, Fume is an award-winning flavored air device, and I love my flavors. Now, it turns out that the flavored air category is quickly becoming the leading alternative to vaping and smoking. With flavored air, you can satisfy your oral fixation through a passive diffusion system that utilizes no electronics, no vapor or combustion, and it's a whole new movement towards better habits, led by the sponsor of today's video, Fume. And you know how it is. Sometimes certain bad habits can get you down, especially if you've got a stressful life, like me. You start the week with the best intentions, but as a few days go by, you're out with your friends, you have a stressful day, and you fall back into those bad habits you know you shouldn't be doing all the time. But thankfully, now there is a better alternative that helps you kick your bad habits in an enjoyable way. Fume draws delicious flavored air to your mouth, but Fume is not a vape. It has no batteries and it creates no vapor, so you can use it anywhere. And it contains no nicotine, so it is not addictive. It's really just delicious flavors and an opportunity to take a calming breath in this stressful world. It's got non-toxic flavors, and they've got a whole bunch of delicious options. Like, look at all of these. Right now, I'm on the orange vanilla, and I gotta say, it's delicious. Also, the Fume just looks awesome, with a super slick and high-end design, and some weight to it, and a very satisfying twist. when you dial the airflow up and down. So if you're an anxious person like me and you need something to fiddle with, it's perfect. So Fume has served over 300,000 customers to date, and now you can be the next success story. For a limited time, you can use my code TRAPMOREROSS to get your free topper. These things. It's the perfect accessory for your Fume device. Slip it onto the mouthpiece for a softer, warmer feel. It's chewable if you're somebody that loves to fidget, and it's also reusable. Now, the Fume is a really cool product. I've been loving mine, and it's truly helped me build positive habits over the last few weeks. So head to tryfume.com, that's TRYFUM.com, and use the code TRAPMOREROSS, or scan the QR code on screen to get your free Fume topper when you order your Journey pack today. Thanks Fume for sponsoring the video, and I'm out.
1, 2, 3.
This Muwop, he crazy. He got all type of button ups, man.
Video, block ain't close. Oh man, oh block, get back in. Know what we be.
My bodyguard. Come on, bodyguard.
They want to know if you'd ever do a song with Young and Ace, Jada Youngin.
No, say the other name, say it.
If you do a feature with Modell, Tyreek, P5, or Malcolm.
Build him. Hey, Muwop, say what's up. Muwop got some shit too. We got heat coming though with Muwop.
STL, steady taking losses.
Muwop, sometimes referred to as just Wop, was born Marcus Smart on January the 4th, 1999. He was raised by his mother, Tanisha White, who played a central role in his upbringing. In an interview on the Drew Filmed It podcast, Muwop actually shed some light on what a typical day looks like for him. He mentioned how he wakes up early, not just for himself, but to ensure his mother is ready for work and that his little sister sets off for school.
First I get up. If I'm in Chicago, I gotta make sure my mama up to go to work and my little sister to go to school.
This glimpse into his daily life shows the responsibility that he was carrying, even amidst the chaos that was surrounding him in the gang-affiliated streets of O Block. He had a family he cared about, and that cared about him. And Muwop had a childhood that in many ways mirrored that of any other kid in Southside Chicago. He graduated from high school in June 2017, a milestone that he dedicated to his late friend Chino and his baby sister, Skylar. On June the 10th of that same year, Muwop celebrated his prom, and in a surprising turn, both Muwop and DQ, another respected name in O Block who we'll discuss more later, also took part in NBC's Stop the Violence campaign in 2017, a gesture that stands in stark contrast to the life that he would later lead. Now, Muwop is originally from 119th Street and LaSalle, an area known as Buff City, which you might remember from my recent video about Snitch KBD, the prolific shooter hailing from Buff City, who some claim killed as many as 10 people in the gang war between Death Row and the No Limit Muskegon Boys. But Muwop wouldn't remain in Buff City and would eventually find himself living in one of Chicago's most famous blocks. He made his name in O Block, an area affiliated with a notorious set of bluefin black disciples located in the Parkway Gardens housing development on 64th and South Martin Luther King Drive. Bluefin BDs being the older generation of black disciples that were established in the O Block at the time Muwop moved there. Back in the late 2000s, O Block was known as Wick City, an acronym for Wild, Insane, and Crazy, which was to let the whole neighborhood know just how wild and dangerous the gangs were in this housing complex. Its official name being Parkway Gardens, this is a public housing development which has sometimes been referred to as the most dangerous block in Chicago. Parkway Gardens has great historical significance as it was the first housing project to be cooperatively owned by African Americans and was even the childhood home of former First Lady Michelle Obama. Wick City would later become known as O Block after the murder of a notorious resident there named O.D. Perry, and his death, allegedly at the hands of nearby gangster disciples, strengthened alliances between O Block and other nearby sets affiliated with the Black Disciples, such as 600 or Steve Drive, located on 60th and King. The 600 set is well known in the Chicago music scene, with rappers like L.A. Capone, Rondo No. 9, and E-Day playing pivotal roles in shaping drill music. And you can watch my 6-hour breakdown of 600's history if you want to learn more about that. Another ally of O Block is Front Street, based on 61st and Indiana. Front Street's history is intertwined with the 6217 Calumet buildings, a project that many of its original members called home before moving to 61st and Indiana after its demolition. O Block's network also extends to a close friendship with 300, aka Lamron, also known as Pluto Gang, a BD-affiliated set on 64th and Normal. This set, which originated from the Castle, had a strong presence in the area. Blackgate 054, also known as Wayne World, is another ally of O Block based on 54th and Indiana. However, Blackgate has its share of enemies too, including MOB or Scrap Gang, a gangster disciple set from 58th and Warbush. MOB, which emerged from the M-Town neighborhood in the 90s, has a long-standing rivalry with Blackgate, which itself started around 1998 and 99, with that area being named after the Blackgate fencing outside certain Chicago houses and apartments in that territory. Jaro City is another rival of O Block and is situated on 62nd and Vernon. Once home to multiple cliques like ABM and COB, Gyro City now stands unified under this name in honor of their fallen member Jarvis. Gyro City's influence extends to Taekwon World, located in the West Woodlawn neighborhood on 62nd and Eberhart, with Taekwon World emerging from Gyro City after a teenage boy named Taekwon Tyler was killed in 2012, with this crew remaining closely connected to both Gyro City and STL. STL refers to St. Lawrence Avenue, another GD set close by, which is linked to EBT on Eberhart Avenue, with these streets connecting to 63rd, and this collective of gangs sometimes being referred to as STL EBT or 63rd, with their territory spanning from 63rd to 65th, from Vernon to Champlain, marking them as significant players in the ongoing conflicts that define Chicago's South Side, arguably being O Block's closest rivals. Infamous GDs like FBG Duck and his Flyboy Gang rap collective represent STL and 63rd heavily, and O Block also has another beef with 051 Young Money or Mellyway, whose main block is on the 51st and Cottage Grove, but the crew originally hail from the Drexel Towers on 48th and Drexel. Growing up surrounded by these gangs, a 15-year-old Muwop would eventually get drawn knee-deep into the gang culture. In this 2014 picture, he's seen holding a gun with a caption that reads, "I'm always out here," marking the beginning of his immersion into O Block's dangerous gangbanging world. Interestingly, this would have been during the period of the second half of 2014 when King Von had been taken off the streets due to being charged with the murder of Malcolm Stuckey. So it's possible that Muwop was one of these younger members that was getting active in the streets in the absence of King Von, possibly under the guidance of his right-hand man, T. Roy. A young Muwop grew up surrounded by close friends, including DQ, whose real name is Daquan D. Forrest. Born on January the 12th, 1998, DQ has known Muwop for most of his life, and their bond is evident as seen in this 2015 Twitter video where they're seen hanging out together. DQ later confirms that he's one of Muwop's day one friends, solidifying their deep-rooted connection from the very start.
And you grew up with Muwop, right?
Yeah, free my brother.
Yeah.
I mean, Muwop, he's like the first, me, Muwop, and Chino. Chino, he's the first people I met at Parkway. D-Lo too.
Another key figure in Muwop's life is Duke, also known as Munna Duke, or his terrifying nickname King Kong. Duke, real name Rashawn Vance, was born on February the 13th, 1994, and hails from O Block, getting involved in the Black Disciples from early. And the connection between Muwop and Duke runs extremely deep too, with them being very close. Their connection is evident in pictures that date back years, with Muwop posting about Duke as far back as 2016. Muwop has often said that Duke is someone he can always depend on if things ever go wrong, and Muwop's story is as much about the people around him as it is about his own journey. Him and another name from O Block, Dello, also go way back, having been together since their kindergarten days. A 2015 photo captures them alongside other kids from the block, showing their long-running connection. But unfortunately, Dello's path took a different turn too, as he's currently incarcerated himself. Muwop's circle of friends includes other people like Gleish, another childhood companion who grew up alongside him and Duke in O Block. Gleish has been part of Muwop's life from way back, solidifying the close-knit group of friends who have shared experiences from O Block and stay loyal to each other throughout the years. Their bond forged in the streets of O Block continues to influence the paths they took later in life. Another close friend from Muwop's tight circle is Man from O Block. Muwop celebrated Man's birthday back in 2015 and later referred to him as his right hand in a 2016 Twitter post, another deep connection between Muwop and his friends in the streets. In this old 2016 photo, Muwop is also seen alongside O Block Dre, Los, real name to Carlos Offord, and Lamron rapper Lil Reese, referring to them as his gang, with Los eventually being one of the people that was also implicated in the same murder as Muwop many years later. Then you've got Trey 5, real name Daquan Bennett, another figure who grew up alongside Muwop in O Block. However, Trey 5's story also took a dark turn, with him currently being incarcerated on extensive charges. Trey 5's reputation has been tarnished in recent years by allegations that he actually snitched on Mikado 600, who lost his life behind bars in connection with the murder of a woman called White Girl. Allegedly, there's paperwork out there that supports these claims of snitching, casting a shadow over his once close ties with the O Block crew, but I can't confirm these are indeed genuine. Despite this, his connection to Muwop remains a part of the complex web of friendships that shape their lives in O Block. Then you've got someone like Chino from O Block, also associated with 300, who was one of Muwop's closest friends. Muwop often posted about Chino, sharing that they had known each other for around 15 years before Chino passed away. He frequently referred to Chino as his bro and his best friend on Twitter, underscoring the deep bond they shared and likely the trauma Muwop felt when his close friend lost his life. Chino was originally from Low Gang, a GD set based in the No Love City hood at 58th and Low, which now goes by the name Chino Gang in his honor. This connection to Chino is so significant that King Von added Chino's name along with HK's to the back of his O Block chain shortly before Von's death. Chino's legacy continues to influence Muwop and the rest of the O Block crew. With the passing of so many childhood friends during their come up, it's no surprise then that the young O Block natives grew up to take part in violence themselves. Another important name in this story is Sethang, whose real name is Christopher Thomas, another longtime friend of Muwop, with Muwop marking the bond in a Twitter post where he wished Sethang a happy birthday, calling him a 10-year friend. But unfortunately, Sethang would be another one of those people from O Block implicated in FBG Duck's murder. But now, we get to perhaps the most important comrade of Muwop, Von. Muwop's connection to King Von runs deep, going back long before King Von's rise to fame as a rapper. In 2015, Muwop was already showing his loyalty, posting about King Von and acknowledging how the ops hated him even back then. On March the 4th, 2015, Muwop shared a post saying free King Von and followed up with another on April the 21st, 2015, again calling for the freedom of both King Von and his right-hand man T-Roy, who were both locked up at that time. It's unclear how much time they'd spent together before Von caught his charges, but what was clear is that Muwop had a deep admiration for Von and couldn't wait for him to be free. Later that same year, Muwop posted a birthday message for King Von, highlighting that their bond existed well before King Von became a prominent figure in the rap scene. To Muwop, King Von and T-Roy weren't just friends, they were like big brothers, guiding and protecting him through his turbulent life in O-Block. Another person that's important is HK, also known as Headshot King, Heck, Baby Stretch, and Give 'em Hell, was also another close friend of Muwop. His real name, Hakeem Murray, he was actually the younger brother of T-Roy, and as I've previously delved into the intricate details surrounding the life and death of T-Roy in my previous video, The Many Murders of T-Roy, for those looking to catch up on the full story and understand the broader context of his impact and the events leading up to his tragic death, I'd recommend you go and check that video out in full. But HK and Muwop shared a deep bond which only deepened after the tragic murder of T-Roy in 2017, as when T-Roy lost his life, there would be a huge void to fill when it came to the members fiercely defending O-Block in the streets, and so it'd be around this time that Muwop would also find himself entangled deeper in the streets. He was arrested in 2017 for robbing someone in O-Block, with the arrest footage revealing that he actually had a gun on him at the time, which was recovered by police. This incident marked a significant turning point, as it now became clear that the streets had firmly taken hold of Muwop, and in the midst of the murder of T-Roy, one of O-Block's most beloved members, the remaining members of O-Block would embark on a brutal campaign of revenge against their ops, forming a new crew called GetBackGang, a new generation of shooters from O-Block who made it their mission to get revenge for T-Roy's murder, and Muwop would be one of those members, front and center on the front lines of that beef. So let's take a recap at some of the important segments from my T-Roy video to get some important context on the GetBackGang era, a period when Muwop made a name for himself and would soon become known as one of the most feared shooters hailing from O-Block. Following the death of T-Roy, remaining members of O-Block formed a new group called GetBackGang, who waged a brutal revenge campaign in T-Roy's name. Their primary goal was to get back for T-Roy, murdering his killers or anyone that had something to do with his death. Following T-Roy's murder, numerous people from the other side would lose their lives in quick succession, making 2017 one of the deadliest years in O-Block history. Many high-profile homicides would play out in the months that followed, starting on May the 15th, 2017, when Warren Delton, aka Lil Ho from Jaro City, was gunned down. Lil Ho was just 44 at the time and was believed to be the uncle of 600 Breezy. On the afternoon of the 15th of May, several rounds were fired in the 6100 block of South Eberhart. Warren Delton was found lying on the pavement, victim to several deadly gunshot wounds. Lil Ho was shot multiple times in his head, was ultimately pronounced dead at the scene. This murder would be the first victim of the GetBackGang killings, with O-Block being responsible and rumours that 600 members were also present too. Despite the possible family connection between Lil Ho and one of 600's most well-known members, 600 Breezy, Lil Ho was known to be a moneymaker in the area, and due to his age, it's unlikely that he was even involved in this war at all, but simply being from Jaro City had made him a target of GetBackGang. Just months ago, Reddit Chiracologists would even release new information about the incident that had been uncovered through the Freedom of Information Act, with a new document revealing that there were in fact 4 shooters present at the scene, with one of them standing over Lil Ho when killing him. It was clear that GetBackGang was aiming to kill multiple rivals for T-Roy. Commenters on Reddit would later share how at this time, this murder was seen as a warning that a storm was coming. Redditors have since mentioned the dark reality behind this murder, specifically within O-Block's close ally 600, as even after Lil Ho's murder, 600 Breezy had been pictured with McAdoo, one of the alleged shooters who had killed his uncle Lil Ho, with some people even commenting how crazy it would be that your day one homie kills your uncle, but you don't care because you put your gang over your family. But GetBackGang was only just getting started, and 7 days later, they would strike again, this time against their GD rivals, MOB. At around 8 PM on the 22nd of May, 27-year-old MOB affiliate Jamo, real name Jamie Jones, was driving near 59th Street in LaSalle in the Washington Park neighborhood when a car pulled up alongside him and shot Jamo in the chest, back, and arm, before turning southbound on Yale Avenue and fleeing the scene. Jamo was taken to a hospital where he was later pronounced dead at 11:55 PM. Another recently released police report shows that Jamo exited the car after getting shot, possibly to get help, but ultimately he would collapse in the street, whilst his car would remain in motion, eventually crashing. Dusky from MOB would pay his respects to Jamo after hearing about his death, which would prompt Mimo600 to like the post, a creepy but common tactic used by gang members to taunt their ops during this time of grief. Shockingly, similar to how Lil Ho was actually the uncle of 600 Breezy, Jamo was allegedly the brother of 2 Front Street members, a set which has also been very close with both O-Block and 600, with this being yet another reminder that in Chicago, your own family members may be killed by your friends if they get on the wrong side of the gang war. There's many theories speculating about exactly who was involved in this murder, with the majority seeming to believe that it was McAdoo from 600 involved in this hit, essentially pinning 2 murders on him within just a week, with another main suspect being Capfuck12 from 600 and T-Roy's brother Heck, aka HK from O-Block. GetBackGang had now allegedly killed 2 ops in 7 days, all in retaliation to T-Roy's murder. However, the gang that was most likely directly responsible for T-Roy's murder, Taekwon World, had not yet faced any direct consequences, but O-Block clearly had no plans on stopping the Getbacks, with members like E-Dog tweeting that more Getbacks would be coming that very summer. And indeed, the next month, GetBackGang would allegedly strike again in yet another brutal murder, with T-Roy's brother Heck allegedly beginning his own spree of vengeance, earning himself a fearsome reputation in the Chicago streets, just like his late brother, as well as a new nickname that would warn anyone who crossed him just how deadly he was on the streets. Poppy was the right-hand man of TB, or Terry Barry, the man who had seemingly shot and killed T. Roy, and the two were even seen together in multiple photos, even collaborating on music, earning them their most popular song, Taekwon Way, a tribute to their gang set Taekwon World. Poppy was just 18 years old, and much like many other teens at his age, he worked a normal day job at a local business to make ends meet. On the 16th of June, Poppy was working his shift as normal at the L&P Candy Warehouse, which was located on the 7047 block of South State Street in the Greater Grand Crossing neighborhood, just a few miles away from the main war zone around the Woodlawn and Washington Park neighborhoods. At around 3 p.m, Poppy had been helping an elderly female customer take her shopping back to her car. Whilst he was literally at work helping a customer, a maroon-colored vehicle would pull into the parking lot, and a masked man would exit the vehicle and begin firing an AK-47 style automatic rifle towards Poppy, striking him 3 times in the head, once in the lower body, once in his back, and once in his right upper arm.
Getting multiple tickets hitting the board for a person shot. 7-5 in state, 7-1 in state, 7-0 in state. First ticket's coming in as 7-5 in state. Says male shot inside the candy warehouse. White car did a U-turn to go westbound on 7-1, possibly back on the expressway. Unknown if that car is involved. One caller saw 2 male blacks on the ground shooting near a white sedan parked at the candy store. Male black 6 foot with dreads and a white t-shirt and jeans. Per 7383 Adam, offenders jumped out of a maroon car and fired the shots, got back in the car and went northbound.
We got multiple shell cases out here.
Another ticket says that a male black wearing a white mask took off in a car. Didn't remember the color. Last thing getting on the expressway. Maroon vehicle, last thing northbound on state with the male black shooter.
The victim to county hospital. Ambulance 65 is taking another one. I guess a female.
It was a dark color 4-door vehicle. The passenger jumped out of the vehicle and shot the victim in close range.
The victim worked at this candy store.
Is that the male or the female?
The female is not shot. She just fell. She's not shot.
We know we have a male with a gunshot wound to the head, unknown condition, ambulance 14 to Stroger, and unknown name.
Victim's last name, Ryan, date of birth, 04, June 99, male black, critical condition for now.
It's believed that this despicable act of violence is when Heck, short for his real name Hakeem Murray, got his new nickname, HK, which allegedly stood for Headshot King. Poppy was ultimately taken to the Stroger Hospital where he was unfortunately pronounced dead around 6 hours later. But to make matters even worse, the horrific aftermath of the shooting was recorded and is actually still circulating online, but it's far too graphic to show you here. In the clip, Poppy's almost lifeless body could be seen clinging on in his final moments, whilst distraught members of the public can be seen around him, frantically attempting to give first aid and help him pull through. Meanwhile, the woman who Poppy had been helping put things in her car before the shooting could be seen laying on the floor, screaming in shock, and according to reports, she would remain laid out on the floor until the police arrived. This goes to show you just how brutal and senseless the violence can get in these gang wars, with members having zero sympathy or consideration to the life-changing trauma that they're putting dozens of innocent people in, on top of the actual murders themselves. Unfortunately, this murder was very personal, and the killers from O-Block didn't seem to care who got in their way. Poppy was indeed affiliated with the gang and the person who had murdered T-Roy, and he had been rumoured to have killed at least one person to himself, Now, it's unknown exactly who was inside the maroon vehicle, as no arrests have been made for this murder, and it would turn out that that store was located right next to a freeway, essentially giving the shooter a perfect chance to escape the area instantly after the hit. However, in a true Chirac fashion, the alleged perpetrators, including HK, who is the alleged shooter, would begin hinting at their involvement almost immediately. Heck would begin to be referred to as HK or Headshot King, an apparent badge of honor based on his accuracy with the gun that day. Furthermore, the day after Poppy's murder, HK was seen flaunting a chain of his big brother T-Roy, something that members are known to do when they have avenged the said person on their chain. Further insults and taunting from O-Block members would implicate HK as the shooter, such as Melly from O-Block visiting the candy store and shouting out HK, together with a post that reads, "If you know, heck dat savage." There are also other O-Block members who have been rumoured to have been involved. For example, in the days following Poppy's murder, E-Dog would tweet comparing killing to the feeling of sex, a trend seemingly made popular by C-Day from 600 in a brazen tweet he put out years earlier. However, on the other side of the war, after news spread about Poppy's death, TB would share on Twitter that he was devastated. The two had been extremely close, and it would later circulate that following Poppy's murder, TB would suffer mentally, allegedly checking into a mental health facility twice during this period, with this seemingly confirmed by a later article by one of his teachers. Killing such a close friend to TB and a beloved member of Taekwon World, GetBackGang were getting closer and closer to the person responsible for T-Roy's death. But they were not done killing, and it still seemed like anybody could get it. Then, just 12 days later, GetBackGang would continue their murder spree, this time killing a female affiliate to MOB and an innocent woman. White Girl, real name Janine Dowell, who also went by Janine Charrell, was a 32-year-old woman living in the MOB neighbourhood. Many internet theories have pinned her as a set-up chick, however there's no evidence that I've found to support this. In reality, she was a mother of 3 and nicknamed Miss Make It Happen due to her dedication to grant her family their wishes. Unfortunately, it would seem her proximity to O-Block's enemies would make her a target for GetBackGang too. On the 28th of June, Janine was driving in an SUV with another woman named Juliet Washington in the Washington Park neighborhood. As they approached a red traffic light and stopped, 2 shooters would approach the vehicle, pulling up beside them and shooting into the car, hitting both victims multiple times. As the SUV rolled into the sidewalk, both shooters ran back to their car and fled. The news would report the 2 women in the car as deceased, and heartbreaking pictures would be taken at the crime scene as people learned the tragic news and had to be held back by police. After the murder, Washington's auntie was interviewed at the scene, with her appearing completely shocked as to why someone would kill her niece, who was not affiliated with anything gang-related and rarely even visited the city. Sadly, it appeared that Juliet was simply collateral damage, with the real target likely being White Girl due to her affiliations with people from her neighborhood. Eventually, McAdoo from 600 and Lil Scud from O-Block would be arrested and charged for this double murder. Prosecutors alleged that it was around 10:30 PM when McAdoo and Lil Scud pulled up in a stolen grey sedan behind Washington's stopped SUV at Warbush Avenue and Garfield Boulevard, with this being in the heart of MOB's hood. They then got out the car, approached the SUV on foot with handguns, and carried out the extremely brutal double murder, firing almost 24 rounds in approximately 15 seconds. Clearly, they wanted to make sure that White Girl didn't survive. One of the alleged motives for this gruesome murder is that White Girl was looking to cooperate in a battery case against somebody allied to 600, and thus it's believed that McAdoo and Lil Scud were supposedly paid to do this hit. This is supported by the fact that McAdoo reportedly made 15 calls to the person from the case in the hours before and after the murder. In just 2 months, McAdoo had been implicated in 3 murders, and now his life as a free man had finally come to an end. Meanwhile, MOB were left mortified by this situation. Jarmo and White Girl had been killed by GetBackGang in retaliation for a murder they didn't even commit. White Girl's murder was referenced on the track Street to Me by Lil Mo, 6 Blocker and Ruger, where they rap, "Can't believe they killed Janine, that was a whole girl." Whether White Girl's murder is seen as part of the get back for T-Roy or just a paid hit is irrelevant. She was the 4th murder within 2 months, carried out by the same group. With McAdoo being involved in the first 2, this is clearly a continuation of the gang's relentless murder spree, which had now seemingly broadened to contract killings. And sadly, they would not stop there. The next month, GetBackGang, or so-called OB600, named after the 2 sets O-Block and 600, who had become increasingly tight during their recent violent escapades, would commit another double murder, catching 2 family members of FBG Duck on the very same night. Kobe Mack, who was from Taekwon World, is the cousin of infamous rapper from 63rd and St. Lawrence, FBG Duck, while FBG Brick is Duck's big brother.
A lot of motherfuckers don't understand, like, everybody think Duck, like, y'all motherfuckers know Duck, but anybody that really know Duck, know me, you know what I'm saying? Okay. And I ain't get my name off rapping, you know what I'm saying? just something I always had a passion for, you know what I'm saying? I started doing it, but that ain't where I got my name from. Okay. You know what I'm saying? I guess by Duck getting his name from rapping, being over famous and shit, motherfuckers see me and like, oh, that's Duck brother, but the motherfuckers that really know, you know what I'm saying, know what I be on and shit. And that's my little brother, you know what I'm saying?
The little brother.
The little brother, yeah, my big little brother.
That's what's up.
Brick too was very close with Taekwon World and was often seen with Terry Barry and other members in his music videos. It's even theorized that Brick may have been the very person who actually gave TB T-Roy's location before he was killed. And fans believe this is actually why Brick was seen pictured with TB and Get Right around that time when those two were wearing the same clothes that they wore in the surveillance footage on the hit. The day after T-Roy was killed, Brick was heard in the back of FBG Duck's live stating how proud he was of Taekwon World that they had killed T-Roy. Duck would swiftly tell him to be quiet as he's on live before going on to pretend that he was just finding out that T-Roy is dead that moment from his chat.
Yeah, look on them on here going, good, they so happy, it's been funny as hell, because I know folks know proud, they got him out the way. I know I'm on live, G, shut the f*** up. It's funny. Before you even get it, it just came on, but still, this Instagram, it deleted instantly, it just came on.
In the midst of GetBackGang's murders, Kobe and Brick chose not to stay low-key. On July the 17th, a block party was thrown in STL EBT territory on the 6300 block of St. Lawrence, where the duo was in attendance. Whilst Brick and Kobe were in the porch area of the house, a white SUV pulled up and a person hopped out, approaching Kobe before shooting him multiple times. Brick was then chased in the alleyway next to the house, where he too was also shot several times, and both would end up losing their lives at the scene, with Brick supposedly being left on top of a fence that he had tried to jump over in an attempt to escape. Furthermore, graphic images of Kobe's corpse lying on the grass were also revealed to the public in news articles which covered the murder. On top of that, a viral photo also circulated which depicted FBG Duck and his mother, Mama Duck, mourning the loss at the scene. And recordings of the aftermath were also released, where Mama Duck can be heard screaming and crying, with her chilling outpouring of grief echoing all throughout the neighborhood. Mama Duck has since given more insight into how the double murder played out in numerous interviews. According to her, one car was waiting in front of the house where Kobe was, whilst another car came behind the house, the direction where Brick was attempting to escape through the gangway. This all appeared to be a planned ambush, almost as if they knew that Brick would run that way.
From witnesses and people who have told me that supposed to have been a car waiting in the back behind where they were standing, and then a car came up the one way, and they instantly shot Kobe, and Brick tried to run and jump a gate, and was shot in the back, and he was also, I'm assuming the way his autopsy report was that as he was running towards the back, somebody was back there waiting on him. So I wasn't aware that he was shot in his face until I went to identify him.
The autopsy report would show just how gruesome and violent these murders were, with Brick shot 6 times and Kobe 9 times. Now many suspect that HK, Cap, McAdoo, Trey 5 and C Murder were the ones responsible for planning this hit, with Redditors saying that this was almost confirmed. Some years later, C Murder would apparently be identified as the shooter of Brick in articles that detailed legal paperwork that had circulated after he was charged with the murder of FBG Duck. Brick's mother also believed that Cap was involved and even commented on a post claiming that he was implicated in killing Brick. Cap and Brick actually had a history of back and forths on Twitter just a month before this, where Brick can be seen insulting Cap and claiming that C-Day has no respect for Cap. Brick may have actually been telling the truth, as C-Day famously said that the Ops should have killed Cap instead of Trix, which according to some rumours was due to a love triangle. Although the tweet could have likely just been C-Day's way of hinting that Cap was the one who had been hurting the Ops the most, but in 2019, Cap would tweet again, disrespecting Duck and Brick. But Brick was not innocent in this war, and Mama Duck would later say in a live stream how people didn't even know the half of what he had actually done in the streets.
I ain't finna sit here and act like motherfucker tell me something like you act like Duck was innocent. He the f was compared to Brick. Y'all don't even know the motherfucking half, okay?
Just days before his murder, Brick was also antagonizing his ops on Twitter, even calling them out for not engaging in shootouts and claiming that he was ready to walk through O-Block. However, like so often in gang life, they weren't always enemies, and one chilling photo from many years ago would actually show FBG Brick at a youth centre alongside none other than McAdoo, one of the main killers in this spree of murders, who is also rumoured to have possibly been the person who killed Brick. And just like with Cap, Brick had also had a history of escalating tension with McAdoo, claiming that after he had gotten shot in a previous incident, he choked McAdoo after Inky D and C-Day ran from him. Clearly this was personal, but it was also another revenge murder in the name of T-Roy. And by this point, GetBackGang had murdered 7 people from May to July 2017, only months after T-Roy's murder. However, one man was still at the top of their hit list, the man responsible for pulling the trigger and killing T-Roy. And just 2 months later, GetBackGang would ultimately find exactly who they were looking for. With his right-hand man Poppy and FBG Brick being murdered just months earlier, TB should have seen the warning signs that he was not safe in Chicago. Likely he did, but he simply couldn't leave the streets alone after having lost so many of his best friends. TB had in fact made himself a target by bragging about his crimes on the internet and even choosing to taunt O-Block and GetBackGang by claiming they will never get back. A brave post considering they had already killed 2 people at this point. As TB chose not to relocate in this war, sadly, eventually it would end up catching up with him. At this point, GetBackGang was truly looking for TB, and HK was even seen on Gyro City Skinny's Instagram Live asking for his location. HK could also be seen on social media sliding and looking for TB with the other members. Then, on the 23rd of September, E-Dog would ominously post to Twitter saying that GetBackGang was on the way, telling his fans, just watch what was about to happen. And on the morning of the 26th, TB shared to Facebook that he was feeling blessed. A truly chilling post considering what would come next. Allegedly, GetBackGang members had spent days trying to get TB's location, and much later, Lil D would even share the messages from the moment when HK seemingly found TB's location, in a very incriminating post that apparently preceded the murder. At 12:45 PM, TB was with a man called Side from Gyro City on the 7000 block of South Chapel Avenue, when someone would pull up, shooting the pair multiple times. Side was struck in the head, but thankfully survived the incident, but unfortunately TB would be less lucky. A rumour would even later circulate that upon being caught by his enemies, TB would actually smile at his attackers and say, "You got me." With this very dramatic scenario being heavily disputed by followers of the Chicago drill scene as well as individuals close to the incident. We'll probably never know exactly what was going through TB's head at that exact moment, but what we do know for certain is that TB, real name Terry Barry, was also shot in the head and later pronounced dead at Northwestern Hospital, just age 21. But a crazy coincidence is just how similar the headlines were about the murders of T-Roy and TB. Maybe the person writing these articles had a sense of irony, or perhaps more likely, it simply shows just how much the gang lifestyle ultimately ends up repeating itself. The police reports would later show just how brutal this murder was, with the autopsy showing how TB was shot so many times it was likely an entire magazine was emptied into him, and that in the police scanner audio, it was even said that they believed the shooters reloaded their guns and shot again. It's rumoured that the gunmen were HK and McAdoo, with this tying a whopping 7 murders to him just in 2017 alone. The police dispatch would also spot the black vehicle that the shooter drove away in.
Be advised, victim on the porch is extremely critical.
Border black car slipped on Chappelle going the wrong way.
With them claiming that one of the shooters had a light complexion, which likely may have fit McAdoo's description.
2 males, 1 light complexion wearing a mask.
Indeed, the next day the duo were clearly in high spirits as they would pose together for pictures. And if these rumours are true, HK single-handedly avenged his brother T-Roy after this series of back-to-back murders following T-Roy's death. Meanwhile, TB's friends like FBG Duck would be devastated and mourn his death. In just a few months, 2 of their most notable members, TB and Poppy, were killed at the hands of GetBackGang. TB's mother would also post a heartbreaking thread to Twitter reacting to his death, and TB's schoolteacher would even post a moving article where he explained his hurt at hearing the news of his former students TB and Poppy's death, with his mother also posting her own emotional tribute to her son in the comments of that article, also calling out hateful and disrespectful comments about her son from rivals. However, unfortunately, others would lurk in the same comments, suggesting that TB himself had allegedly murdered 4 people, including T-Roy. TB's friends, on the other hand, would begin paying tribute to him, publicly naming him as the T-Roy Slayer, and celebrating the murder that had originally caused these brutal back-to-back killings. The extreme wave of violence that followed T-Roy's death is unheard of, even in the extremely violent reality of Chicago's gang wars. Numerous murders in broad daylight all over the span of a few months. After killing TB, O-Block was seemingly not done, and unsurprisingly, they would continue bragging to the whole world. Boss Top would make several tweets poking fun at TB's death, claiming that TB had begged for his life in a reply to one of his tweets, as well as numerous other posts, seemingly disputing the version of events where TB had been rumoured to have smiled at his shooters before they got him. E-Dog from O-Block would also join in on the taunting just a day after TB's murder, posting a basketball of scoring and saying "Rest in peace" to T-Roy. Years later, O-Block rapper Muwop would diss TB extensively, saying that he's smoking on Terry Barry in his song Spin It. However, before the year would end, the cycle of violence was not finished, as HK himself would tragically lose his life to a completely separate situation in the very place that he would have thought he was the most safe. The 24th of November 2017 was a day like any other in O-Block, with HK hanging out in Parkway Gardens accompanied by Lil D and McAdoo. In the CCTV footage released from the incident, we can see the trio enter the 6436 tower block inside of Parkway Gardens. Footage would later emerge giving more context to the events that played out that day. HK and McAdoo proceeded upstairs, where they saw a man who wasn't from O-Block. Allegedly, he was just visiting somebody that he knew inside Parkway Gardens. The man was wearing gold chains, so HK and McAdoo allegedly attempted to confront and rob the man. It's possible that they didn't think this guy would fight back against such hardened and feared members affiliated with O-Block and GetBackGang, but this turned out to be a big misjudgment. The man noticed a gun in one of their jacket pockets and would run away into one of the apartment units, closing the door after him. After HK tried to get in, the man then upped his legal firearm after yelling that he doesn't gangbang, opening fire on HK. HK was hit 2 times, once in the thigh, once in the abdomen. They would then retreat down the stairwell while McAdoo was blindly shooting back in the direction of the apartment unit from around the stairwell doorway. According to a witness, McAdoo then attempted to get HK down the stairs and out of the building, but eventually bailed on his attempt to help HK, which explains why many online believe that McAdoo left HK for dead. Meanwhile, police responded to calls of shots fired within Parkway Gardens, and when they arrived, they were informed that HK, real name Hakeem Murray, had suffered several gunshot wounds. HK was transported to the Northwestern Hospital, where he was pronounced dead at 8:53 p.m. Somehow, in the confusing aftermath, the killer would make it out of the building and escape to another apartment complex on South Michigan, where he stashed his gun. Later, he would agree to an interview by police and told them everything, whilst also handing them the gun he used to kill HK, which indeed matched the shell casings recovered at the scene. The man would even identify HK as the man who shot him from an ID parade. With that and other evidence from the crime scene, it would turn out to be a fairly clear case of self-defense, and the shooter was able to walk free under the mutual combatants law. In the same year, both brothers T-Roy and HK lost their lives to gun violence, and it would be a twisted irony that after all of the murders that he had committed in his brother's name, it would end up being a complete stranger that would end up taking the life of O-Block's supposed headshot king. But HK's death was not the end of the fallout following T-Roy's murder, as O-Block was seemingly not done with their getbacks, and still had their sights on yet another man involved in the murder of T-Roy, with that person being the second man who was there during the murder, Man, better known as Get Right, Tukaville. By this point, it was well known that Madman, also known as Get Right or Can't Get Right, was TB's accomplice in the slaying of T-Roy. And just like TB, he likely knew it wasn't safe for him to be outside, considering the amount of murders that O-Block and GetBackGang had carried out the previous summer. Around 9:50 p.m, Madman was standing outside of a store, waiting for food on the 400 block of East 63rd, a location that's just a stone's throw away from O-Block, but very much Madman's own territory. Suddenly, a car pulled up, and when Madman was spotted, 2 shooters would hop out, running towards him, opening fire. In the gruesome CCTV footage from the murder, we can see how Man was initially hit before he would try and make an escape. But he would then be gunned down on the floor, with the shooters firing more shots, standing over him to ensure that he was dead. Unfortunately, they didn't even stop there, but they would also end up shooting an innocent bystander, a 43-year-old janitor, Troy Hampton, who was just doing his job sweeping up outside of the store, and the whole incident would indeed be caught on CCTV camera, where you can even see one of the gunmen purposely aiming at the man and firing several times. Commenters on Reddit would share their disgust at this bold double murder.
Morning are looking for the gunman who killed 2 men overnight. They were standing outside of a store in the city's Woodlawn neighborhood when someone started shooting. A 43-year-old man was shot in the chest. He died at the hospital. The other victim, a 22-year-old, also died. Police say the 22-year-old is a known gang member and was the intended target.
Following the murder of Man, Chiracologists would begin to theorize just who could have potentially carried out this brutal assassination. Surprisingly, many in the community believed that one of the shooters could have been the infamous Chicago gangster dubbed the Gravedigger of Chirac, 051 Melly. The rumors of hatred between the two had begun after a viral video circulated from Poppy's balloon release following his funeral, and in the clip, Man can be seen dropping the Y, a disrespectful hand sign towards 051 Young Money, doing this in front of the camera and right in front of Melly, with the camera then panning to Melly, showing his shocked reaction, which even gets a nervous laugh out of FBG Duck, who is in attendance. The comments on YouTube would mention how this could have been a grave mistake, leading Melly to want to kill Man Man. But these rumours have since been debunked by members of STL, after FBG Young participated in an Ask Me Anything thread for the Chiracology subreddit in 2022, denying Melly was responsible for the incident, but indeed admitting that STL do not chill with 051, but still paying homage to Melly. For many, there was no need to theorise, as it seemed very clear which gang was responsible for this murder. When assessing the highlights from the police scanners in the area after the shooting, it would actually appear that STL began shooting back at O Block almost instantly after the hit. Police officers arrived at the scene at 9:50 PM, and just 20 minutes later, loud reports of gunshots were heard at 64th and King Drive, the heart of Parkway Gardens. Around 40 minutes later, more shots were reported fired in the area, with shell casings being found this time. In the next hour, more shots were fired, and casings were found by police. Clearly, STL aka Tucaville had attempted to slide and retaliate on O Block right away. Members of O Block also took to the internet as usual and left many braggadocious clues about the murder. The very next day, King Von himself would actually go live with several O Block members beginning to mock Man Man's death, making a joke out of his other name Get Right or Can't Get Right, calling him Can't Get Up.
There you go, can't get right. There you go, can't get right, cause I can't get right.
Alright, everybody, not at one time. What just happened? What just happened?
A lot of glitches and efforts.
Oh, you right there with your hand up. You tell me what happened. Who got killed? That's what I'm asking y'all. Who got killed, gang?
Yeah.
Can't get right, got killed.
Word. Can't get right, got
And somebody show me a picture. I don't think I know y'all talking about. Is this can't get...
Is that can't get right? Hold on, is this him? Is this can't get right?
This ain't called snitching. I'm just trying to get verified. Get verification. They tell some can't get up. Oh,
They always make some before we do it. They beat us to it every time.
Y'all should start killing people. Cause y'all be doing this. You doing the man.
Oh, Steve, this thing crazy.
The group would even mock the death of the innocent janitor, claiming that they will have to roll another one, seemingly unaware that the second victim of the shooting was indeed an innocent man.
They said 2 down. Dang.
2 men. That nah, I can't take
David,
2.
They said it on both our lives.
I can barely take
2 pieces. 2 pieces. I can take one. Somebody roll out the one.
Can't.
Whoever else got hit.
They would then continue reacting to their ops posting tributes to Man Man.
See that paragraph under that picture, you know it's so...
Best friend, you just told me to pop out. I remember back in the days when you just told me to pop out, best friend. Why the f you do me like this? You bogus as hell. They ain't try to.
They gonna be dissing you. You know, you better not get caught like that.
Von and his crew would then begin making more direct disses at the situation, claiming that STL stands for steady taking losses, and that the FN gave him a fresh fade like Lil Boosie.
Steady taking losses. STL, steady taking losses. Gave him a fresh fade, Boosie Boost.
They fucked up folks up.
Fresh fade. Why did they even put him on Front Street like he was even like that though?
Von would then add that he probably knew he was gonna die and that no one will care he's gone.
He probably knew he was gonna die.
He did.
I wish I could talk to him. Don't nobody even care about Can't Get Right like that. I don't think they gonna slide like that. I don't think nothing finna happen because of that. So
they finna waste the rest of their money on that.
We ain't gonna act like nothing finna happen. Just y'all go in the house.
They gotta pay for it.
Whoever ain't get shot, you lucky today. I'm going out. It's over.
They would even continue to self-incriminate, detailing how the hit probably played out and poking fun at how Man Man was hit, trying to run away, and how he couldn't move.
I used to somebody just popping out a cut for real.
Looking at your
really on your way. You just get the flat past your you just want to do like one of these because you acting like you fake tough. But get the hitting you, I can't move.
Crump getting that there little before they got you too.
But the self-snitching didn't stop there, because just 2 weeks after that murder, King Von would famously tweet, "Shout out to that new op pack, my brothers made it." King Von even took the disses into his music. In his Bless the Booth freestyle, he would rap, "He tried to run, but it ain't end right. They call him Can't Get Right." E-Dog from O-Block would also chime in, first posting to Twitter that the get back is not over, and then 3 days later posting, "Your ass better get right or get left." Members of STL have even admitted that O-Block were responsible for this murder. In 2021, FBG Young was interviewed by Truth Teller TV. When Young is questioned about an FBG Duck lyric regarding Man Man or Get Right picking up food, Young replies, explaining that a lot has happened on his block, but continuing to explain that a lot of stuff happened in their neighborhood, and it's different because they're on blocks and people from O Block are in a gated community.
Some you was getting some food. You know what I'm talking about in the song Thug Angels, okay? That happened right on the corner of y'all neighborhood.
I don't know if you ever seen the store, like the restaurant. It's like it was a restaurant at the time. It's a store now. It's like on 63rd between Everhard and Vernon. So it's like, it's not like a corner, but it's like on the front street of the busy street, 63rd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the neighborhood.
A lot of shit happened in that neighborhood. I mean, a lot of shit happened in that neighborhood. It's like different, cause like we own blocks and they like in the gated community.
Right.
As usual, internet sleuths would begin investigating who the gunmen were, with many of them landing on two prospective O-Block members in particular, Muwop and Duke. One of the massive hints at the two being the shooters was Muwop's ominous post following the murder, where he says people wouldn't know the type of bond that him and Duke have, with the top comment clearly understanding the reference. Moreover, in an unreleased snippet from Muwop, he would rap "Duke like King Kong, standing over people in their own hood," seemingly describing the exact circumstances of Man Man's death. Muwop would post further hints at the pair's possible involvement after Duke was arrested for a separate incident, writing, "You get the right, I got the left, we going to meet back up." And soon after, Duke was actually shot at, but luckily he survived with only minor leg injuries. But even more shocking is just how deep the theories get that Muwop was the shooter on that original hit, with many people arguing that Muwop actually has a distinctive gait, a style of walking and running that's actually very unique and easy to identify, as clips of him running in O-Block, as well as surveillance footage that came out years later during the trial where he was convicted of the murder of FBG Duck, with one poster on Reddit even doing a gait analysis theorizing that Muwop's run perfectly matched the shooter in the Get Right case. Ultimately, this particular murder was never solved, and despite the rumors, nobody knows definitively who killed Man Man. Once Man Man had passed, along with TB, both of the people who had killed T-Roy had lost their lives. However, the damage was done. O-Block would lose T-Roy's brother HK in a completely random incident, and despite the supposed goal of GetBackGang being achieved, the Getbacks would indeed never stop. After the formation of the GetBackGang, the streets of Chicago became a battleground, with vengeance fueling the violence. Muwop was one of the most prominent members involved in this revenge campaign, and he had been rumored to have been involved in the violence playing out on the streets, particularly the murder of Man Man, aka Get Right or Can't Get Right from Tuckerville, as well as an innocent janitor who was killed in the shooting by mistake. But with T-Roy's killer, TB, allegedly avenged by his brother HK, who himself ended up losing his own life in fluky circumstances not even relating to the gang war, the GetBackGang shooters were far from done, waging war against their enemies. And now, with King Von back on the streets, working with Lamron's Lil Durk to quickly shortcut their way to the very top of the rap game.
Yeah, I'm real still like catching up right now. Like all this is new. So I'm still really playing catch up right now. Just figuring out all this stuff.
Have you adjusted?
I'm still trying to figure out how to work Instagram. It's decent, yeah.
I know, I think you meant the street. Have you adjusted from the street to the industry as far as?
I'm signed to the streets.
That's the easy part, though. I mean, Dirk can show you the ropes of that.
It's just the end of the all this stuff I gotta catch up. Like I done missed so much. So like, hey, y'all remember this? You remember that? I don't remember none of y'all time. I was, So like, I'm really still catching up, and then all the new artists and all the stuff going on. And the rap game, all that's new to me. I just started.
Von was flooding his block with money and guns, putting the O-Block shooters in prime position to keep catching their longest running enemies. Among the most prominent victims of this deadly feud was FBG Duck, a well-known figure in the streets and in drill culture. Years of tension and rivalry between King Von and FBG Duck culminated in Duck's assassination, a tragic moment that was another turning point in Muwop's life. As I detailed in my video The Murder of FBG Duck, O-Block members would strike, not only ending Duck's life, but essentially ruining their own lives as well. So let's take a quick recap of the murder of FBG Duck itself to see how it played out and learn exactly why those who were involved in the killing were doomed from the moment they pulled the trigger. On the morning of the 4th of August 2020, the members from O-Block are chilling on their block, openly selling weed, or Tuka and Zaza as they call it, and discussing their operation to a camera recording live.
This is my dog on King David. On B, that's my roadie.
Hold on, man, I got Zaza.
King David. Big bag.
Stupid, man.
Big grocery bag of that shit. You got in your bag. That man, you know that man. What you got over here, folks, on King David?
Everybody got Zaza. And I put a big boy out because of the big whipple. Really going.
That's all we do, we smoke. Big point on BDN.
Yeah,
that's my son on King David right there on BDN. That's my son on phone number.
How much money y'all made today? I just came outside like 30 minutes ago. No exaggeration, I swear to God. I remember on BD 30 minutes. It's like 1,200. And I still got 2 million friends in the bag.
It's clear that the guys from O Block had absolutely no worries about committing crimes on camera for all to see, and later that day we would see just how far they were willing to take this truly reckless attitude. 4 a.m. that same morning, FBG Duck wakes up in a bad mood, making a Facebook status suggesting that he was angry about the murder of his brother Brick, hoping that he bumps into the killer. Little did he know he would do just that very same day. Because on the afternoon of August the 4th, 2020, less than 1 month after the release of FBG Duck's incredibly disrespectful song Dead Bitches, Duck goes shopping in the Gold Coast, a place that's been described as the Rodeo Drive of Chicago, a luxury, high-end shopping district and a high-profile tourist area. And it was here that FBG Duck must have been located by his enemies, because while he's shopping, 2 vehicles end up here 30 minutes away from O Block, arriving directly outside where Duck is shopping. At about 4:37 p.m, Duck is confronted outside of the Dolce & Gabbana store by around 4 masked individuals who hop out of the car, opening fire. Duck pulls a gun and tries to return fire, but it jams, falling to the ground along with Duck himself as bullet after bullet is fired into his body. Duck is shot numerous times, with some outlets even reporting that he could have been shot as many as 38 times. And he's left to die there by the shooters, who immediately flee the scene in their cars. A man and a woman that were standing with Duck at the time of the shooting are both injured but luckily survive. At this point, scared and confused members of the public begin to crowd around Duck's body, with some even videotaping the aftermath of this terrible crime. Eventually, a 12-minute video is uploaded in its entirety, depicting the aftermath of that incident, where Duck lays there on the ground for an extended period of time, fighting for his life. This video is far too shocking to show you on YouTube, but once again, it really drives home just how much destruction these killers were so willing to inflict on the streets that they live in and upon the fellow citizens who live there alongside them. Duck's mother would later claim that the police actually stopped the ambulances getting through, preventing Duck from receiving medical attention in the adequate time frame.
They even blocked the ambulance off from getting to him. See, that's what they don't want the world to know. But I'm gonna tell it, and I'm gonna get justice for my son.
After Duck's killing, this brazen, broad daylight shooting made international news, with reporters comparing the killing to the slaying of Chicago mob bosses back in the 30s.
On August 4th, 2020, it looked like an old-time outfit attack here on Chicago's Oak Street. 2 attack cars, 4 shooters, and a hail of bullets. But the target wasn't a 1930s gangster, he was a new millennium rapper, FBG Duck.
Considering how publicly this murder was carried out, there was an insane amount of media attention around Duck's death. And according to his own mother, Duck had been reported dead on the news before she had even had an opportunity to identify her son's body.
The news actually announced he was dead before I can even go to the hospital.
But even more chilling than that is the fact that Duck's mother witnessed people finding out about the news on the street and clapping in joy.
Somebody actually clapped in the crowd when they pronounced my son being deceased. I hit the floor. I couldn't believe it.
Adding even further insult to Duck's family in this horrible time, the mayor of Chicago came out with a statement saying that Duck fancied himself as a rapper, but was really just a gangster. Clearly not aware of the work that Duck was doing to improve his life, or the pledge that he'd made his mother after his brother's death to focus on the music rather than the streets. Now, people made a lot of the fact that this happened in such an upscale and upmarket part of Chicago, far from the rundown hoods where this beef supposedly originated from. One article spoke of Duck bringing a street fight between the have-nots into turf controlled by the haves, suggesting that these drill rappers are so-called have-nots that usually just kill each other on the south side of the city where nobody cares. Going on to say that these killings are being done for clout, and comparing all of the white people standing on the street watching Duck die to the movie Hotel Rwanda, and going on to say that because of the socio-economic implications of Duck dying in this way, in this location, meant that there would be no way that his killers would evade justice. This is something that Duck's own mother once again echoed in a Vlad TV interview.
They want justice for my son just as well as anybody else because they feel they're not safe. If this can happen down here...
Duck's mother also vowed to get justice for her son.
I want them prosecuted. If they dead, they're not gonna do nothing.
But for over a year, there was no justice, as Duck's killers evaded all consequences for what they had done. But even more shocking than that, they weren't quiet about it either, running free in the streets and on social media, soaking up every single drip of clout that they could just for being involved in this horrific crime. It's no coincidence that following the murder of FBG Duck, that the cops had several cars watching over O Block. They were apparently there to stop retaliation attacks, with warnings being issued in the local community that young people should stay off the streets because bullets are about to fly. The cops knew where the bullets that had killed Duck had been sent from, and it was a safe bet that some may be sent back in that direction soon after. But the thing is, building the actual case to catch the people that killed Duck would take some time. But fortunately, those who were involved in the crime would begin dropping crumbs and clues from the very moment that they got back from the hit. The very day that FBG Duck is killed, C-Murder from O-Block posts a picture of himself to Instagram doing the GD killer hand sign with the caption "Anyway GDK," a reference to a King Von lyric. Meanwhile, on the other side of the spectrum, soon after Duck's killing, Lil Durk went live on Instagram whilst getting off of a private jet. He didn't really say anything, but the comments are crammed with people mentioning that FBG Duck was just murdered. Of course, Durk was conveniently out of Chicago whilst this happened, something he had made publicly clear on Twitter only hours before the hit took place, with Lil Reese also sliding in on the alibi too. Now, a lot of people speculated that Lil Durk going live so soon after Duck's murder was a calculated move to show the world and the authorities that he was indeed far away from the crime when it happened, the perfect alibi. But on the flip side, Durk would also go on to tweet "Rest in peace Newski," his cousin, only an hour and a half after Duck was killed. So clearly, Duck's passing meant something to him. And the day after Duck's death, King Von would release his song with Lil Durk, "All These N-Words." That track doesn't have any specific lyrics pertaining to Duck's death, but the timing can't be ignored, and of course it's filled with King Von rapping about having bodies from way back. The fact that they went ahead and still released this in spite of what was going on just goes to show you there were really no plans for O-Block or their affiliates to keep quiet after this event had played out. And the same day that that song drops, Mimo600 is seen smoking a blunt on IG Live, whilst all the comments ask if it's Duck that he is smoking. And he confirms this by showing off a custom Duck Cali pack. But he wasn't the only one showing disrespect. 600 Breezy dropped a snippet of an FBG Duck diss song, pondering publicly whether he should still release it even though Duck is dead. But it was exactly 10 days after Duck's murder, on August the 14th, 2020, when King Von is seen in Atlanta at the Icebox Jewelers, picking up a number of diamond-encrusted custom O-Block chains for his goons, even posting a handy list of names who would receive these chains next to it. Now, I don't know what was engraved on every single one of these personalized chains, but taking a closer look at the backside of Von's personal extra-large O-Block chain, we can see what this is really about, because it's engraved with the names of 9 fallen O-Block associates, along with a crosshair, the number 64, the old name for O-Block Wick City, and the tagline O-Block for life. Von himself had this extra-large O-Block chain, whilst the smaller ones were distributed to other members. This includes several people who are now in custody for the murder of FBG Duck. People like C-Murder and Muwop, who was seen flexing his new chain extensively on IG. And we saw the likes of DQ being gifted his chain personally by King Von. Now, for the record, Von had been planning to give his hitters chains for several months before the murder of FBG Duck, even being seen on social media consulting with his crew about the chains all the way back in May 2020.
You hear me, young?
Yeah.
White gold, yellow gold, or rose gold?
I say white.
Yeah.
White gold. White. You know how that's white.
And even custom designing them at Icebox before Duck's passing. But it is slightly curious that we didn't start seeing the chains getting shown off until 10 days after Duck's murder, when a full video about them was released on Icebox's YouTube channel, where we see King Von basically explaining that specific chains are to be customized for specific getbacks, with the vengeance of Shoroid apparently corresponding to a Shoroid squad chain.
One just put this 1992 to 2012.
Okay, who's that one for?
Shoroid squad.
Yeah, I want to know the name.
Yeah, I know. C-Murder.
And then you just, how do you spell this? C-H?
C-H-E-N-O. Oh, right here.
So right here, Ivan, we're just adding C-H-E-N-O. Who all got rose gold?
I think Muwop. I think Smooth won't rose gold.
So with his team fully iced out, his biggest rival out the way, and arguably the biggest getback of his career under his belt, it would really make sense for Von to get as far away as possible from the streets and focus on his music career. And the day after taking delivery of those O-Block chains, Von would be back on Instagram teasing new music. But funnily enough, the fans seemed more interested in the getbacks than the songs, with the comments going crazy mentioning the death of Duck. And Von would eventually even have to tell people to stop talking about it, as the comments got so clogged with people mentioning Duck.
Man, that's my put anything about some big cloud beat anything on his striking out like baseball, come on.
But Von wouldn't avoid the topic for long. As the days go by, him and his team would lean into social media, getting more and more used to the fans constantly bringing up the killing of Duck. A couple days later, Von was on IG Live with DQ in a store, unable to help himself but mock the ops just a little bit, telling his IG Lives that there ain't no more FBG.
All that dissing, or saying something, or even acting like y'all with some shit that y'all know for sure ain't with, I'ma smash I ain't gonna put like that. See, and we know y'all ain't gangsta, y'all on the internet. We know y'all ain't gangsta, y'all ain't trying to do that. Ain't no more FB. Ain't that right, Big DQ? Ain't that right?
You already know that, Kodak.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Goofy as hell.
A couple of days after that, Von is on O Block, with Gleesh telling the ops to pull up.
Tell her what we doing today, Gleesh. We on the block.
Get it on, we on the block, look. Pull up, y'all know when he come out, so move, we pull up in a lot. On BD, just pull up in a lot.
2 days later, August the 22nd, an O Block Woney goes live saying that he's smoking on duck and telling his viewers that you can get hit anywhere, any place, and that they're still dangerous.
I smoked the wood to the duck. Smoked the wood to the duck, you know? It could happen to you. You could die. Whatever can happen, like, you know, anywhere, you know, like, it could just happen, like, you know, we dangerous, like, we pull up on you and shit, like, you know, like your taco. I'm on house arrest, but this can happen, like, it can happen, like, whenever, wherever. She thinks somewhere in traffic.
The day after that, Kenny Mac posts up on Instagram a picture with C-Murder saying that they're killers, and a few days later on August the 28th, C-Thang would go live to an audience of around 10 people, quickly getting spooked by the fact that the only people that showed up were fans saying that he killed Duck. But one of the most famous incidents of self-snitching in this story would surface on August the 31st, 2020, when an interview is released with Boss Top from O Block speaking on camera. This interview is him surrounded by members on the block, speaking about what things were like before the fame and discussing his relationships with King Von and Lil Durk. Thing is, if you're going to take a vlogger into a gang stronghold, you might want to be a bit more careful about what you say and where you say it, because this interview with Boss Top contained a number of very incriminating details. First thing they do is walk onto the block telling the camera that their homies are smoking brick and duck.
We got phone rolling up brick over there.
Yeah.
Phone rolling up brick over there. Phone putting the duck out right there. Oh, we got a lot of people there.
Hell, if you look at the comments on this video, you will see that there is a bunch of people pointing out the fact that there is a car the same model as the one that was used in the murder of FBG Duck parked right next to them. Sure, it could be a coincidence, but it does make you wonder why only less than a month after a gangland murder in the middle of a busy street that these guys are inviting vloggers to their block to record them. And so it was in this very interview that Boss Top from O Block would post up in front of the camera telling the vlogger that he's willing to answer anything. Anything, you say?
The next question was going to ask me. I'm asking any question.
Any question?
Any question? I'm answering that shit.
Well, naturally, he is eventually asked about FBG Duck, and his answer is really something. Boss Top immediately says that Duck shouldn't have dissed their dead homie T-Roy, before catching himself and then shutting up.
FBG Duck, you know, any thoughts on him? Like, did you know him? Who Duck? Did you know him before, like everything?
Like that. I don't know. On game. All I know, don't say that shit about Troy or rest in peace, Duck.
But if that wasn't enough, a flustered Boss Top then redirects the camera's attention to the hitters standing behind them, one of whom does a nose-wiping motion.
Okay, he's like, you got anything about FBG Duck? Yeah, it's, you know what I'm saying? You know, don't say shit about Troy. That's it. About Troy. Get that guy over there. Whatever, you know me. Come on, man, don't do that. Don't do that. You know I know that. Stop playing. Stop playing. Don't do that. Stop playing. Talk to somebody else today.
Boss Top would then go on to call his O Block chain a trophy.
This no more chain. This like, it's like a trophy to this our brother, you know? This more than the chain. This way more than the chain. This our lifestyle.
Now, this most incriminating section of the interview was removed from that video around a year before the arrests took place, but that particular clip was captured and still circulates to this day. And even though that part's edited out, all of the original comments remain, with many long before the arrests pointing out that Boss Top indeed did point directly at one of Duck's shooters. But it would be unfair for Boss Top to take the blame for all of the self-snitching, because as the days go by, O Block members continue to appear on camera and on social media, leaking incriminating info that appeared to tie them to the crime. On September the 2nd, Big Woney goes live on Instagram once again, this time arguing with one of FBG Duck's friends, FBG Measle, with Woney bragging that they can't diss O Block because O Block killed their ops.
Why this nigga that's killing y'all? Nah, my homie stood over your homies. It's different.
Don't say get stood over.
Who?
Goofy. It's red. You keep mentioning, motherfucker, keep mentioning Duck name, brick name. All that.
What the
I'm finna grab the duck joints. I don't want to have that come out.
The day after that, C-Thang and Big Woney are seen on IG Live again, this time showing themselves on FaceTime with fellow accused murderer and drill musician from Jacksonville, Queso.
Hey, man. Hey, for them, who you smoking on, man? I'm on live right now, man. Who you smoking on, man? Who you smoking on from the rack, man? What you say? What you say? They can't hear you, folk.
Duck.
Duck. You smoking that duck. Quack, quack. Duck, quack, quack. You say you smoking that duck, my boy Queso smoking that duck, baby.
Yeah, so that was Queso from Jacksonville saying that he's smoking on duck too. It's really crazy to see how Woney and C-Thang just could not resist the clout that was on offer in that moment. They were on a phone call with another killer and they just couldn't help but brag about the killings that they had done themselves. They truly wanted the whole world, state to state, to know that they killed Duck. Only a few days after that, King Von is seen on IG Live doing a goddamn impression of FBG Duck.
Think you finna say, it's a real party you cannot get in, busting out the zins, pulling up the means. I can shake your hand. No, I'm not your friend. Let me hear that boy like that. Let me go. Weak. No. It's a gangster party. Everybody made it out the trenches. But once King Von whatever he was saying. Said what he said. You did your push-up this morning? No.
But it wasn't just the O-Blockians going live, because on September the 10th, FBG Measle goes live himself. Of course, the comments are immediately crammed with people dissing Duck, and Measle begins to respond by dissing deceased O-Block members like HK and T-Roy.
Troy, suck my dick, Troy.
At a certain point, Measle throws on FBG Duck's mad disrespectful anthem Dead Bitches and continues to diss his ops.
Big cloud went nowhere, nigga. The old T-Roy, Baldy, Shorty, I'm Measle. We stay smoking Troy little ass on phone his little ass that smoke that big ass.
But here's where things get a little strange, because at a certain point an account that appears to belong to Zell Munna, an alleged relative of HK and T-Roy, begins commenting on this live asking where Measle is. But here's the thing, it was unclear whether or not this was really Zell Munna from O-Block, because his official Instagram page had an underscore rather than a full stop. In fact, even the real Zell with the underscore under his name chimed in to try and let everybody know that there was a fake account impersonating him commenting on this page. And it does make you wonder, who was the fake Zell with the full stop in their name? Was it really just Zell on a burner account trolling? Could it be one of the ops trying to draw Zell out? Or could it be the feds trying to seed information that they already knew? Well, perhaps we'll never know. But what happened next is crazy, because this fake Zell account with a full stop in the name posts a flurry of comments on Measle's live, seemingly taking full responsibility for the murder of Duck. One comment says, "Fuck, we won." Measle, seemingly unaware that this is a potentially fake account commenting, begins to say that he's gonna beat Zell's ass.
Hey Zell, shorty, I will beat your ass so I dare you a bitch.
But from here, the fake Zell with a full stop in his name releases a barrage of comments, saying "Ask Duck about us," followed by duck emojis. He says "Ask Duck about that FN," which is a manufacturer of guns. He says Duck couldn't take that FN. He then says "Ask your homie about them blue tips," which is referring to a type of bullet that the FN guns take, going on to say that the entire op block is dead. And at a certain point, people begin to comment saying that Zell is losing his mind and that he should know better than comment these things. Other accounts clock onto the fact that this is a fake Zell commenting, but at a certain point, other fake accounts begin to pop up in the comments impersonating other O-Block members saying incriminating things. Things like C-Murder is going to kill Measle. Clearly Measle doesn't get the message about all the fake ops that are in his comments, and he begins to diss Zell once again.
Hey, T-Roy, you don't do them dead. Hey, boy, Zell Munna, boy, you a bitch, you a boy, you steady taking pictures in the O.
From here, a whole bunch of similar fake accounts impersonating O-Block members not even very well begin to appear, including this one with the literal name Real O-Block Member 600, an account that no longer exists on Instagram. This account would extensively diss Duck too, and beginning to ask for Measle's location, just like the fake Zell account did at the start. At this point, people begin to speculate in the comments that all these fake accounts had been made by the real Zell, who was just trying to cover his tracks. And from here, more accounts pop up asking very police-like questions, even referring to to FBG Duck by his government name. From here, people begin to comment that the feds are active in the chat, and eventually the live ends, leaving me with a whole lot of questions. Now, we're probably never going to know who was really behind some of the comments on this live, but let's just imagine for a minute that none of them were the real Zell. Just imagine how scary that would be if you were involved in a murder that everybody knew you did, and people were literally online pretending to be you, boasting about that murder in a way that's so convincing your ops can't really tell the difference. I mean, that must have been truly terrifying for Zell. A few days after this, BJ, DQ, and Zell go live on O'Block, and one of the top comments on this says that these guys are dropping new clues about this murder on a daily basis. But it was on September the 16th, 2020 that things got really silly, as King Von himself begins to tweet publicly suggesting that him and FBG Duck had a song together, telling his followers on Twitter that they had settled their differences before he passed, which was a little bit hard to believe considering their history. Also, around the same time, Von had been spotted commenting on IG, calling famous Dex a homophobic slur in response to Dex saying that he was emotional about Duck's passing. Frankly, I didn't believe a word of Von's tweets, and I don't think you should either. But it really just seemed like Von was having a good time without a care in the world, assuming that he or his team would never be implicated in the murder of Duck. In fact, during this period, Von and his team were having a great time, with Von flying out several O-Block members to Atlanta to hang out with him and enjoy his success. Whilst in Atlanta, Muwop and C Murder were seen filming a music video with Von, ironically in a fake jailhouse setup.
How you looking, boy? They talking about murder, ho. The big low on here, he say, yo, ho out.
What? He want y'all to hoop real quick.
See, Murder got boards. Come on, Muwop, man. Go here, Muwop.
BJ is also seen hanging out with Von and other members in Atlanta, and in one spectacular display of self-snitching, Von goes live whilst getting off of a plane with Muwop, where he openly tells a fan that Muwop has loads of bodies.
This Muwop, he crazy. He got all type of bodies. No, just player. Come on, Muwop. My mama, come on. My bodyguard. Come on, bodyguard.
Meanwhile, back on O-Block, after that Boss Top interview where he quite literally pointed at C-Thang after saying that Duck was murdered for dissing T-Roy, C-Thang would continue to go live on IG. And of course, everybody is in his comments saying that Boss Top spilled the beans about O-Block killing Duck and letting him know personally that the feds do know that C-Thang was involved. In fact, at one point when responding to a fan who asked who was on the block, C-Thang slips up and nearly says all of the killers, quickly correcting himself and saying members.
Shit, the whole all the members.
He would go on to deny ever knowing Duck.
What you think about Duck? I don't know. I ain't know him.
And later, he would say that he has a song coming that is no cap, meaning that the song contains no lies and everything that he says on it is true.
Ain't no cap in that shit either, boy.
Now, despite not getting arrested, these guys would be fools to think that the feds weren't at least paying some attention. And so, on October the 7th, 2020, the FBI are seen patrolling through O-Block, with C Murder himself deciding to film them.
Oh my mama, bro. Oh my mama, they on the block, Scud. They on the mother block, Scud. What the f? Is they coming to my car? Don't come to my car. Oh yeah, that's DA FBI on Dave. And here come motherfucking Parkway security telling on everybody.
In fact, C Murder actually recorded the FBI walking through O-Block whilst yelling "fuck Brick."
Fuck Brick. I got you.
Hold that motherfucker up.
What that bitch say?
Hold that motherfucker up.
Boy, let us see that thing, boy.
So it's clear that the feds are at least surveilling O-Block, but no arrests have been made at this point. But funnily enough, King Von seems to have his own surveillance crew in O-Block. A camera crew following him around and making documentaries about him and his crew as his career continues to rise.
I go back to Parkway. You know, I see all my old, friends, all the guys out there. All the guys' mamas and shit. Go see everybody like that.
And away from the cameras in the music, King Von would continue to diss FBG Duck at every single opportunity. His October release, Welcome to O-Block, contained numerous disses aimed at Duck, and while on a press run for this new release, Von would even check in with DJ Academics for an on-the-phone interview. And it was in this interview where DJ Academics presses King Von about his earlier tweets, suggesting that Von was lying when he said that him and Duck had squashed their beef, with Von denying that he died, suggesting that somebody had deleted the DMs between them.
You and Duck didn't make up. His mom came out. They said, "You and Duck."
Gang, how you gonna tell? See that this ain't right. Gang, how y'all gonna say that?
His mom said that would never happen.
His mama was not there. I ain't never met his mama. I don't know his mama. You see what I'm saying? I'm talking to him. You see what I'm saying?
And then they deleted all our DMs, so I can't show them the...
Now, from here, a flustered Von tries to sidestep his past beef with Duck, saying that they just went to school together.
It ain't. They just make it look real crazy to y'all. These just really people we all went to school with.
Nah, that do look crazy to me. I kid you not.
That's how they make it. But then,
like, yo,
you gotta understand, like you said, they right there down the street. We went to school. It ain't that serious, you know. And then, you know, it's just that we ain't cool no more. It was, you know, but it ain't that serious. Like, it's to the point where let's talk about it. It ain't. At both of us rapping, we can figure some shit. We need to stop the shit, all the violence, all the shit. That shit. We got a voice, you see what I'm saying? Like, we tell Chicago far back, tell Chicago far back.
And eventually, Academics asks Von how he felt when he found out about Duck's death. And at this point, I kid you not, King Von begins to slowly eat cereal out of the box, telling Academics that he was hurt by Duck's death in an incredibly unconvincing manner.
Were you saddened by the news that he was murdered then?
Man, that shit hurt. I ain't even go to sleep at night. I can't believe that.
At this point, King Von couldn't even continue keeping a straight face. So he tells Academics to hold on and points the camera away from his face, when for a moment we hear what sounds like King Von and his homie BJ just straight up sniggering and laughing. And even when Von gets his composure and comes back on camera, he slips up because for a very brief moment we see BJ in the back of the car laughing uncontrollably.
Can't believe that shit. Hold on, man. Oh, let's talk about some other shit though.
Not a great look, guys. Not a great look. But in the end, none of that would really matter, because no one could have expected what would happen next. As King Von, the chosen one, the head honcho of his crew of fearless hitters, would end up being let down by his crew and himself, losing his life in the streets, but in a whole different state. Weirdly, for reasons completely unrelated to this long, bloody war. Unfortunately for Muwop, King Von would only live a few months on from the murder of FBG Duck, and he would spend many of those months incredibly close to Muwop, perhaps partly due to their long-running friendship, but also as one of the most prominent shooters of FBG Duck, it would be no surprise then that Von would want to shower attention onto one of his most loyal shooters. However, eventually, tragedy would strike, not in Chicago, but in Atlanta, when King Von would find himself in a fistfight with another rapper from a different state that unfortunately turned into a shootout. Interestingly, that night that King Von ended up in the shootout that claimed his life, Muwop would be right by his side trying his best to save Von's life too, but unfortunately, he would be unsuccessful. So let's take a quick look back at the events that unfolded that cursed evening to see what really happened to Von whilst Muwop was right by his side.
APD says the gun battle took place in 3 different spots near Trinity Avenue, where a total of 6 people were shot, 3 have died. One of them, a rapper Davon Bennett, who goes by the stage name King Von. GBI says King Von and a group of men left Opium nightclub and went to Monaco Hookah Lounge early Friday morning. Investigators say after they arrived, 2 men approached the group in the parking lot and an argument ensued. From there, shots were fired.
On November the 6th, 2020, 3 months and 2 days after FBG Duck was murdered, and only 4 days after tweeting that a couple of people want to kill him with a yawning face, King Von is playing a show at Atlanta's Opium nightclub, where he was seen in good spirits, traveling in Atlanta with a number of big name hitters from O-Block, including Muwop, Louis, Slutty, BJ, and Boss Top. You would have thought that this man, with his reputation and those around him, would be completely untouchable. But perhaps it was that kind of thinking that led to this situation to begin with. Because on the way home from that performance, King Von and his crew drive to the Monaco Hookah Lounge, after apparently getting the location of Quando Rondo, an affiliate of the rapper NBA Youngboy, who Von had been having a feud with online. This was nothing to do with the street beef in Chicago. This was a rap beef, and one that I believe Von was probably leaning into because he thought it would help his career if he was seen pressuring another rapper. So after finding out that a music industry rival was nearby, Von's car abruptly changed direction, headed to that hookah lounge, which led to Von accidentally losing the professional security team that had apparently been looking after him earlier that day. Apparently Von wasn't being entirely open with his crew about what he was looking for or trying to do at this point. Him and his team arrived to the hookah lounge lurking around the area for quite some time when somebody informed him that rapper Quando Rondo was in a nearby car. Von immediately approached, and in an insane scene that was captured on CCTV, without provocation, Von begins to physically attack Quando Rondo, beating him with his bare hands and swinging enormous haymakers. Thing is though, Von clearly hadn't considered the possibility that his music industry ops might be rolling as deep as he does in the streets. Because while he's punching Quando Rondo, a man named Lil Tim, an apparent shooter from Quando's entourage, saw Von beating up Quando Rondo and immediately opens fire. Von takes a death grip on Quando Rondo, refusing to let go, as Quando desperately tries to shake him off as he begins to bleed out from the gunshot wounds. And at this point it looks like Muwop steps in, swinging an enormous uppercut at Quando Rondo, knocking him out and releasing Von from his grip. At this point, Von's team gets him into a car, rushing him to a nearby hospital where he did not survive. But even more crazy than that, at some point during all of this chaos, two of the other O Block members that are there pull guns and are confronted by nearby police officers who pull their own guns, opening fire, killing Slutty, who is related to Zell, HK, and T-Roy, who we've mentioned earlier, and wounding O Block Louis, who is shot in the head but miraculously survives, with him even being well enough by May 2021 to appear in an IG Live with Muwop. I can't imagine how hard this loss must have been for Zell Munna, who had now lost 3 relatives as part of this story. He would mourn the loss of Slutty and Von on Instagram, as well as wishing Louis a get well. Meanwhile, people from the opposing side paid tribute to a number of names of people King Von was rumoured to have killed in an apparent celebration of his death. Wooski tweeted "Anyway BDK," flipping Von's earlier lyric where he referenced Wooski needing medicine after being shot at the funeral. Meanwhile, other ops in the city claimed to be smoking Von on social media.
We smoking Von out the P today.
And pretty much anybody who Von had had a problem in the past with in Chicago was jumping in joy at the news of him passing. Unfortunately, it appeared that one of the people closest to Von, his mentor, collaborator, and co-defendant Lil Durk, didn't actually know that this had happened, apparently only finding out about Von's passing via comments on his own Instagram Live, whilst he was ironically singing along to his revenge anthem Back in Blood, literally rapping along lyrics about King Von shooting people as he discovered the news that King Von himself had been shot dead. As viewers pile into the comments to let Lil Durk know, Lil Durk would go on to tribute the 3 O Block members who were injured in this incident. Muwop would mourn the loss of King Von on Instagram, and frankly, the death of King Von would represent a big shift in the circumstances for O Block members and their affiliates. Von had been the one leading the charge, funding the war, and providing money and clout for up-and-coming O Block members. Von was really the meal ticket out of O Block. He'd been taking these guys to Atlanta, taking them out the hood, showing them a different life. But ironically, his go anywhere, kill anyone attitude is what got him killed and left O Block without leadership or money. As a result, the remaining orphans of O Block would continue to go live and try and show strength after Von's passing, with the tone of these lives being very much, we're still here and fuck the ops. On November the 24th, 2020, C Murder from O Block goes live, letting the world know that he's still a GD killer and that GetBackGang have something crazy coming, reminding the world that O Block run the city.
We still GDK, we dropping rates for shit. Wait till y'all see what that GetBackGang got in store. Oh, my mama, folks looking at the crazy. Ask Siri who run the city, they gonna tell you O Block. GetBackGang, long way ahead. That O Block ain't never die. That shit around our neck, that shit never die.
At one point, C Murder's son even wants to take over his daddy's life, with C Murder stopping him from looking, informing him that there are gangbangers in the chat.
I will see it.
Watch out.
Let me see the phone.
Watch out, go
It's
for this
my life.
game.
It's my life, dude. I'm taking over. You ain't nobody.
Nah, they on here gangbanging, dude. Watch out.
Huh?
They on here gangbanging.
I kind of just thought that was an important moment to put in there, because it's ironic that someone like C Murder, that probably didn't have the benefit of somebody older keeping him away from the gang lifestyle, would at least have the good foresight to try and do the same for his son whilst he was still free. Really, there's not much other positivity to be found in this live, as C Murder goes on to say free little Tim and that he hopes he dies.
Free little Tim. And they didn't really wish jail on nobody. I wish everybody get out of jail. But after they get out, I wish they die. I wish everything else happened to them. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Muwop was also going live around this time, showing people that he's still outside, but he's clearly not that safe in the streets, as he is seen on live quite literally running to the store from O Block and back, all the while puffing up his chest saying that if anybody plays him, he's shooting them, and telling the ops to come and get a free kill while he's live.
That motherfucker play with me on O is busting, I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie, on O, motherfucker play with me is busting. I ain't no bitch, none of that. On O, motherfucker play with me is busting. And y'all see I'm on live too. I ain't gonna lie, you know, motherfucker on my low. Right now, motherfucker on my low. And I ain't no bitch. And I ain't running none of that shit. Y'all see me coming out right now. Y'all see me coming out right now, motherfucker play, motherfucker show. That's how y'all know my ops ain't no shit in my city. My ops ain't no shit in my city. All my ops dead. I just went to the store and no op pull up on me and shit. Free motherfucker kill.
Of course, the comments are flooded with people saying that he's a killer, but anywho, with the O Block meal ticket dearly departed, it would come time for the other shooters on O Block to try and convert their street stories into money and clout through music. Unfortunately, the death of King Von represented the loss of O Block's biggest breadwinner, at least in terms of legitimate money from the music industry. But interestingly, having bore witness to King Von's phenomenal rise to infamy due to his self-incriminating murder raps, around this time, Muwop would give rapping a try himself, and he would at least for some time end up having a decent amount of success. At this point, it's important to note that Muwop had officially been signed to 100K management, sharing the roster with artists like Y&W Melly and his late friend King Von. But apart from social media posts, Muwop's lyrics and those of other rappers referencing him would help cement his image as a feared figure in the streets. His name was already being mentioned in context that painted him as a shooter, with King Von's song Down Me from the LeVon James mixtape being a standout example, as in the track, King Von would rap about Duke and Muwop shooting people together, perhaps a subtle reference to the murder of Man Man. Then, in the song Problems by King Von, released on August 1st, 2018, the track includes a chilling reference to an incident where a witness is killed, with King Von rapping, "Whack the target out the witnesses, we don't believe in no half-dones, we start something, we finish it," a line that seems to encapsulate the ruthless mentality of O Block shooters, and perhaps another coded reference to the killing of that innocent janitor on the hit that killed Man Man, happening weeks before this song dropped. Naturally, Muwop was becoming an infamous name in rap without dropping a single bar, but soon he would decide to make his way into the rap game himself, and as I previously broke down in my video on the murder of FBG Duck, Muwop would use his opportunities in front of the mic to boldly claim involvement in real crimes. On December the 18th, 2020, Muwop would drop his song Vet, a track that's all about Muwop having been in the streets for so long he is literally like a war veteran, as well as lyrics where he says that he shoots people in the chest, saying he's a savage like King Von, saying he ain't ducking from the beef, followed by a lyric about leaving people dead in the street. And remember earlier on when C-Thang said on his live that he was soon to be releasing a song where everything that he says in it is all facts and no cap.
Ain't no cap in that neither, boy.
Well, on December the 23rd, 2020, C-Thang and Zell would release that song, a track called Jump Out. And this is a wall-to-wall self-snitching anthem. It's got references to another body dropping, there being no ambulance to save them before they die, and the ops' mum crying. They say that they're ducking a bunch of times and hopping out of cars shooting ops. It's plain as day that they're talking about the murder of FBG Duck in great detail. Pretty brazen behavior from two people that can't even go live on Instagram without dozens of random people pointing out that they were the people that took Duck's life. And so as we go into the new year of 2021, O Block members would continue to go live telling fans that they would soon get back for the death of King Von and that fans need to be patient.
Be patient. Don't be all on my live with all this war shit talking about people getting smoked in this get back, and please BJ hurry up with something. Don't do that. Just be patient. Everything play out how it's supposed to play out. Don't talk to me about no war. Just let it play out. Be patient. Hey, what?
Yeah, let me get it now.
Muwop's debut song, which is a tribute to King Von, racked up 322,000 views in its first week, proving Muwop's place in the drill music world. And before Muwop would even release his second track, King Von's posthumous Bless the Booth 3 style was dropped on December the 21st, 2020, where Von would rap more bars that appear to reference the murder of Get Right, rapping that you tried to run but it ain't end right. Just days later, on December the 24th, 2020, Lil Durk's track Still Trappin', featuring a posthumous verse from King Von, further solidified Muwop's reputation as a shooter, with a line in the song where you could hear King Von rapping that when he needs a confident shooter, he calls Muwop, and that Muwop only shoots to kill. Muwop's next song, Built Like That, released on January the 29th, 2021, quickly racked up views and is currently sitting at 2.9 million on YouTube. And in this track, he boasts again about having killed his ops, taunting them to check the score, and seemingly referring to the way that they located FBG Duck, rapping that if they get that drop, he's pointing his Glock right to his ops' heads. By March the 30th, 2021, just 3 months into his rap career, Muwop was celebrating his first million views on YouTube. Muwop was ultimately taking King Von's formula and running with it, quickly filling a void that was left when King Von passed, as the fans' desire for violent drill music coming out of O Block was insatiable around this time, and Muwop would continue to build on his momentary success. On April the 3rd, 2021, he dropped a single with a posthumous verse from King Von himself titled Nobody Move, where Von raps about his past hits and how GetBackGang, which includes Muwop, has done the sliding for HK. The song itself had a whole lot of self-incrimination on Muwop's part, which I broke down extensively in my video on the murder of FBG Duck and how the killers told on themselves in different ways. Now, with King Von gone and many of the remaining O Block members hoping to make a go of it in the rap game, it seems they'd all decide to just try and diss dead people to kickstart their careers and get clout for being real gangsters. Each of them trying to be as dangerous or savage as King Von was known to be. By March 24th, 2021, Muwop is posting music snippets to his story saying that he's smoking on duck, and as Muwop starts to develop his skills as a rapper, he sets out to drop a whole bunch of incriminating songs. Muwop and DQ dropped their track Spin It on June the 2nd, 2021, with the whole track basically being dedicated to dissing TB or Terry Barry by his government name, which we know now was supposed Get Back for T-Roy, with Muwop jumping on the chorus of the song saying they're smoking Terry Barry, that they left him Bloody Mary, and that the scene of the crime was very scary. Later that month, on the 20th of June, C-Thang and Big Woney would talk on IG Live about how many people got stepped on after they released diss songs.
How many people got stepped on? Right.
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
A couple of days after that, Duke drops a vlog on O Block where several of Duck's alleged killers are seen hanging out together. Duke himself puts on every single O Block chain, along with a couple of OTF chains for good measure and to make sure Lil Durk is implicated. Meanwhile, Muwop is yelling about how he shoots people in the head and body, and telling everybody that a goofy died with his doggy or homie.
Got killed with his doggy.
Muwop is out there posing for pictures and asking where's C Murder so that he can get on camera too. And once they're all together, what do? Well, they record them all rapping along to an incriminating song about smoking on duck. Actually, they sung that twice to make sure the feds heard it. Well, they did it a third time as well. Okay, so what they were actually doing was filming a music video for this song they were rapping, so they obviously had to perform this song countless times that day. But I gotta say, it was a bit of an interesting decision for whoever edited this vlog to just repeatedly show these opening lyrics in numerous locations, indicating to me that they really wanted to know whoever was watching this vlog that they were specifically trying to disrespect Duck. Now, that particular song would release on YouTube on June the 25th. It was Duke's song 12 AM, and that song itself had a whole bunch of other incriminating lines. Notably, self-identifying as GetBackGang and saying that they do what they do in the memory of HK. Muwop would go on to drop a snippet of his own upcoming song the following month, this time with a lyric stating a dude from 63rd couldn't get back up, and saying that they had to mask up.
Move on from the O, with them get back up. Dude from 63rd couldn't get back up. Yeah, we had to mask up another body that's a plus, ducking like I'm rough.
Honestly, it's not even worth wearing the mask if you're going to run around telling everybody you did the crime for a year. Now, Muwop would end up getting arrested for the murder of FBG Duck in October of 2021.
Tonight, federal law enforcement officials say they are charging 5 Chicago street gang operatives with racketeering in the 2020 Oak Street hit on Carlton Weekly. The rapper, known as FBG Duck, was said to be shopping for a birthday present for his son when he was cut down in a mob-style attack. And now the feds are using a law first aimed at mobsters to prosecute the 5.
However, before that would happen, Muwop had been recording music extensively, and even after his arrest, more lyrics of his that were incredibly self-incriminating would circulate online, leaving fans dumbfounded as to why he would be so reckless with his music when he knew he'd committed such a serious crime. By March 27th, 2022, Muwop's collaboration with Easy, titled No Bentleys, came out, adding more fuel to the fire. In the track, Muwop raps about how dissing GetBackGang would lead to them killing you, with Muwop seemingly describing the scene where he murdered Duck, rapping, "I chase him down and put him in the ground," a line that could easily be open to any interpretation. Even other artists like Lee Drilly on his track Demon Time from his Free Drilly mixtape acknowledges Muwop's reputation, rapping how he's sliding with guns like Muwop. A snippet of one unreleased song which would circulate on Reddit further paints a damning picture, with Muwop seemingly confessing over instrumentals and dropping lyrics that appear to reference Duck's murder itself, even saying that he was on the hunt before Duck's murder made it to the news. These lyrics and the continuous references in songs contribute to the narrative that Muwop was deeply embedded in the violent drill world of O Block, where the music and street life were inescapably entwined. And it's truly mind-boggling to think that after seemingly killing FBG Duck in broad daylight in a busy upmarket shopping district, that Muwop would think that he could release such self-incriminating music and get away with it. Perhaps it was because Von got away with claiming murders in his music his whole life that Muwop and his friends thought they were on the same path. But the difference is that King Von died unexpectedly, likely while the feds feds were building a case with an aim to include him in the major gang indictment that would ultimately sweep Muwop off the streets. But despite his newfound status, Muwop's early steps into the rap game revealed just how fresh he was. As seen in his first podcast interview with Drew Filmed It on YouTube, his freestyle, while raw, carried the fire of somebody with deep street ties.
Muwop from the O, yeah, I'm creeping 2 a.m. out sliding, I was lurking trying to see who was them. 33 up in his Glock, dunking like I'm pimp, put a switch up on my Glock.
And when asked why he decided to rap, Muwop candidly shared that he originally had no plans to rap, but decided to after spending time with and getting encouragement from King Von.
I wasn't gonna rap at first, but I was around Von. Von was telling me like, man, you might as well start rapping. I'm like, man, I don't know how to rap, man. I don't know how to do nothing with rap.
His early journey in the music industry was also marked by financial ambition, as he posted on Instagram announcing that he was charging $5,000 for features and $8,500 for a verse and appearance in a music video. During the interview, when asked how long he'd been rapping, Muwop admitted that it had only been around 6 to 7 months, perhaps explaining why his freestyle still had a touch of greenness to it.
Yeah, I've been rapping 6-7 months.
So it's new to you still. You still learning things. You're probably still learning what a structure is, what a
He's still learning how to walk.
Is, right?
But Muwop was gaining respect beyond the borders of his native O Block, and legendary figures in Chicago rap were showing him love. Lil Durk himself would be seen on FaceTime with Muwop at an O Block block party, as well as the two of them being on a plane together shortly before Wop's arrest. With Durk's friendship with this certified killer Muwop even inspiring some of Durk's most famous lyrics, which I broke down in a previous video. In September, there's a massive party on O Block, apparently a tribute for Zell, where all of O Block are seen turning up and chanting along to the lyrics of King Von's Back Again, mobbing pretty deep in the middle of Parkway Gardens. Of course Muwop is there, and of course he's going live, but who do you think joins his live to check in and see what's going on? None other than Lil Durk.
What y'all on? Getting that members? Hey, Wop.
Yeah.
That Bussy, you hear me?
Yeah, we had to do a bid for Love Bro Friendly. Gang, GetBackGang, OTS, for Bobby.
In hindsight, maybe Lil Durk shouldn't have been so close to Muwop or the other members. He'd already let being too close to King Von land him in hot water, but Durk clearly hadn't learned his lesson, because in the lead up to the sweep by the FBI, he'd apparently taken Muwop on tour with him, where they had both been seen together rolling around on private jets and flexing together with big stacks of money.
What that is? I gotta get on live. What that is? Who got the most views? Let's see that. Who got the most views?
Yes, Muwop was all on Durk's plane, very comfortable indeed, even posing for pictures with fans, while throwing up gang signs and calling himself Gangster Killer.
Gangster Killer. Check him out. Gangster Killer.
Yeah, man. He's gotta control. Gotta be controlled.
Perhaps all of this is why Lil Durk rapped on Meek Mill's song Sharing Locations that he still hangs with all the murderers. And I guess those lyrics weren't cap. But when in the next lyric, he says that he's paying the lawyers for all of the murderers, it really does make you wonder what Lil Durk is going to do next. Unfortunately for Muwop, his incarceration came just as his career was taking off. And later on December the 19th, 2021, Muwop shared a screenshot of his Spotify numbers, expressing gratitude to his fans for the love and support they'd shown him over the past 10 months, both while he was free and after his incarceration. And in his message, he reminded everyone not to count him out just yet, signaling that despite the setbacks, he was still in the game and ready to make his mark. The situation with Muwop is a prime example of how the line between art and the street realities becomes dangerously blurred in the world of drill music. It's astonishing how in the quest to maintain a real image, some rappers end up confessing to all of their crimes through lyrics and social media posts, with one of the most brazen examples going even further beyond lyrics, with my previous videos explaining how Muwop had purchased a particular pair of Gucci shoes that had a cryptic message on them that intended to tell the world that he had indeed caught FBG Duck. One of the most insane examples came from Muwop, who posted this picture of a set of shoes to his own Instagram, along with a rather incriminating caption. Yes, that is Donald Duck caught off guard in the flash of a camera shooting him. For the record, these are actually Gucci shoes, so no, he didn't have these custom made, but god damn it, he picked them them, chose to buy them, and chose to post them on his IG with a goddamn winking face emoji. Look, make of that what you will. It doesn't necessarily mean that he did it, but I've got to say that is probably one of the most creative ways of self-snitching I have ever seen. Despite numerous examples of this behavior leading to legal consequences, the cycle continues as artists prioritize street credibility over their own freedom. It's a dangerous game where the desire to appear authentic often results in a chilling reality, being caught for the very acts they were rapping about. And as previously documented on this channel, it wouldn't take long for the feds to close in and take FBG Duck's killers off the streets for good. The investigations into the death of FBG Duck commenced immediately after his death. The authorities had been watching O Block members' activities closely for over a year, and eventually the moment finally came when everything unraveled. On a quiet morning, the news broke that Muwop, along with 4 other O Block affiliated gangsters, had been arrested for the brazen broad daylight murder of FBG Duck. This marked the beginning of the end for Muwop as he knew it.
Tonight, federal law enforcement officials say they are charging 5 Chicago street gang operatives with racketeering in the 2020 Oak Street hit on Carlton Weekly. The rapper, known as FBG Duck, investigators say he was a gang member whose videos had irked members of a rival gang, 5 of whom tonight stand charged with his killing under the RICO statute, Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, that in 1970 was created to help dismantle traditional organized crime, aka the mob.
Yes, eventually the FBI closed in on O Block like the Chicago outfit back in the 1930s, rolling into the area in armored personnel vehicles, leaving with 5 alleged killers in custody. The FBI would hold a press conference announcing that 5 individuals had been indicted and arrested for the murder of Duck.
We are here today to announce charges which charge 5 individuals with federal crimes relating to the August 4th, 2020 murder of Chicago rapper Carlton Weekly, who's also known as FBG Duck. That indictment alleges that these 5 individuals were members or associates of the O Block street gang.
Those 5 people charged, names that you're probably very familiar with at this point, were Charles Liggins aka C Murder, Kenneth Robertson aka Kenny Mac, Carlos Offord aka Los, Christopher Thomas aka C Thang, and Marcus Smart aka Muwop. 4 were arrested that morning, 1 of them was in jail already on other charges, and the indictment labelled the O Block street gang as a racketeering organisation, stating that the murder of FBG Duck was done to further the O Block criminal enterprise, and going as far as to say that O Block members would brag about their crimes publicly and taunt rivals on the internet.
Publicly claiming responsibility for acts of violence committed by the enterprise, taunting rival gang members, and also alleges that the O Block enterprise sought to increase its status through the use of social media platforms and music.
These guys really did want the entire world to know what they had done, and it really was only a matter of time until the feds took a closer look at it. And unsurprisingly, the social media posts that these guys had been making along the way were named specifically by the FBI as being part of the racket, with the feds even going as far to tell the public in their press conference that you can go online and look up O Block members bragging publicly about the crimes that they were doing in the streets.
There's publicly available material where I think you can learn more about the activities of certain individuals. But generally speaking, what's happening on social media and what's happening in music videos that are on YouTube, particularly in the drill rap genre, it shows you what's happening in this city. It shows you exactly what's happening in the city, which is that people are threatening to commit acts of violence and then either bragging about acts of violence or talking about how they're going to retaliate for other acts of violence. But for instance, you can go on the internet right now, you can see people in music videos, guns all over the place, talking about who they've shot or who they're going to shoot.
The FBI actually elaborated on the fact that O Block's crimes were apparently so far-reaching that the case ended up going federal.
This was one of those cases we were able to bring federal resources to bear to work with the Chicago Police Department to ultimately help us make the case. We were able to establish evidence to indicate that there was a racketeering enterprise here that was involved, and this murder was done in furtherance of that, and so federal charges were appropriate.
This isn't a great look for anybody that spent a lot of time with O Block members, especially in other states. Mama Duck would come out to make an emotional announcement that her son's killers had been finally captured.
They got him. They got these son of a bitches. They got him, they got him, they got him, they got him, they got him. And all that shit too, motherfuckers. was talking. The Fed just called me and told me they arrested Muwop, they arrested C-Thing, they arrested 2 more, 5 people that they have in custody. The little boy who killed himself August the 24th was one of the shooters that shot my son. They just told me that too. No, they're not still investigating nothing. It's over with. Now they got to prove they self-innocent. And my son was killed by some kids. Like, these is kids. Their mamas can still see their kids. I can't see mine.
She would later go live on Instagram with a slightly more pointed attitude.
People be so motherfucking cocky. The motherfuckers that did that shit, they ain't got away with shit. You might think you did, but you didn't. They got them motherfucking scripture. They caught them some of they got them. Justice for brick necks. That little baby that killed himself in Parkway, he was one of them. And they got the other 5. They from Old Block, baby. That's why the mayor said what she said about my son, because she was already on their dick.
Duck's mom even went as far as to call out Boss Top for self-snitching in that earlier interview.
Thanks, Boss Top, for opening your big ass mouth. Yeah, keep on being cocky.
She would go on to say that it's going to cost $2 million for 5 people to defend themselves against a federal case, pondering whether whoever was paying the lawyers for all the murderers would still be bankrolling them after this news.
They need 5 federal motherfucking defense attorneys. That's goddamn it what? Over $2 million worth of attorney fees. We finna see how much motherfuckers love them for real. And for you motherfuckers that was happy that they took my son, they gonna need y'all to be by their motherfucking side. Cause everybody else involved ain't here no more. I deal with it and suffer. And the motherfuckers that ain't here, they finna dislocate they self from y'all ass. We're about to see all the motherfuckers that was harboring them and keeping them with them and all that. They ain't finna be so disclosed from their ass. Watch what I motherfuckers tell you.
After the news broke, O-Block loyalists, still on the outside, took to social media to say free the members, with others openly speculating on Zell's potential involvement as an informant before his suicide. Now, some of the remaining O-Block members continued to go live as a show of face, while so-called O-Block youngers begun going live too, apparently ready to fill the void left by the older hitters from their block being locked up. Soon after the news was announced, Lil Durk unfollowed Muwop on Instagram and tweeted that he wants to go back to high school. For a moment, some people thought, hey, maybe this is Lil Durk truly going on the straight and narrow in life. Other people could see that tweet for what it really was, damage control. But clearly Lil Durk wasn't too worried about his image, because the day after the indictment and tweeting that he was planning to go back to high school, he still went ahead with the release of his track Pissed Me Off, which is yet another Get Back anthem apparently dedicated to his recently murdered brother. And at a certain point, it really does just make you wonder, when's it all going to end? With the 5 killers already identified as Charles C. Murder Liggins, to Carlos Los Offord, Marcus Muwop Smart, Christopher C. Thang Thomas, and Kenneth Kenny Mac Robertson. And then the investigation would take a new turn when on April the 11th, 2023, a 6th suspect named Ralph Turpin, also known as Tall or Teasy from THF, was charged with murder in aid of racketeering and conspiracy to commit murder in aid of racketeering, according to a statement from the US Attorney's Office. Teasy's role in the murder of FBG Duck was pivotal, as he was apparently the one who made a call to Lil Durk's brother D-Thang, who apparently paid $5,000 for Duck's location.
You said that OTF D-Thang paid $5,000 for FBG Duck's location?
Oh yeah. The guy sent it to his baby mama, Teasy. He sent it to his baby mama. The cash app, he sent it that he killed Duck, that he got him killed, that he sent it all to him. And he stayed out there after that, Vlad. He stayed on the scene. That's why his Duck was on the ground, man. We watching Duck fight for his life. He was in the crowd. Him and the other guy was in the crowd watching Duck fight for his life, man. They deserve to go down.
Now, this is a crazy connection, and unfortunately, as Durk's brother D-Thang would end up losing his life before the trial too, there would ultimately be no consequences for Lil Durk, King Von, or D-Thang. And it would be the shooters and spotters at the very bottom who brought all of the brunt of the prosecution. But interestingly, the man who put the plan into action, Teasy, actually had a personal vendetta against Duck, as Duck was apparently dating his baby mother and had been around his kids, which deeply angered him. So after spotting Duck and following him into a store to positively identify him, Teasy made a crucial call to D-Thang and members of O-Block, and apparently his loud, agitated conversation was so conspicuous that the store's security guard even begun recording him as he told the people on the other end of the phone FBG Duck's location. Meanwhile, back in O-Block, Muwop, sitting in a car, would receive the call about Duck's whereabouts, sprinting upstairs to alert the others, and setting the deadly plan into motion. The significance of Muwop sprinting upstairs is that he did so with such urgency that he even caught the attention of Kenny Mack, who then followed Muwop upstairs, as captured by CCTV surveillance cameras that had always been in O-Block. Moments later, C-Murder, Muwop, and others were seen running down a stairwell in Parkway Gardens, and according to the FBI, Muwop and another individual got into a Ford Fusion owned by Los, while C-Murder entered a Chrysler 300 with two others. Both cars were then traced by various cameras to the scene of the murder, and upon arrival, Muwop and another shooter jumped out of the Ford Fusion's passenger side, opening fire on FBG Duck, who was ducking behind his girlfriend's car. Meanwhile, two individuals exited the Chrysler, one targeting and apparently hitting Duck's girlfriend, and the other firing at Duck, with all of this being caught on a surveillance camera and later revealed to the public. Shortly after FBG Duck's death, Teasy's ex-girlfriend received a chilling text message from Teasy containing only 3 laughing emojis. Teasy had also been caught on audio and video earlier, expressing anger over Duck being around his kid and boasting that that is over with now. Kenny Mack's involvement in the hit would make him a focal point in the case due to the amount of self-incrimination he'd done too. On the drive downtown to kill FBG Duck, Kenny Mack was actively texting an associate who was trying to return a gun, telling them to wait in O-Block because, as he put it, we on Duck. And even after the hit, Kenny Mack allegedly texted a witness, Cooperator 4, telling them to check Spot News, referencing a social media page that provides real-time updates on police activity. Roughly 45 minutes later, upon returning to Parkway Gardens, Kenny Mack sent Cooperator 4 a link to a news story about Duck's murder, further confirming his involvement, and a text log would later reveal Kenny Mack discussing money being on Duck's head and recounting these events. The next morning, Kenny Mack allegedly sent another link to a news story about Duck's murder via Instagram to another associate, who responded with disbelief that Kenny Mack had used his own car in the hit, with Kenny Mack quickly instructing the associate to unsend that, revealing his awareness of the gravity of actions and just how much he had already incriminated himself. By October 2023, law enforcement had gathered enough evidence to indict 6 O-Block members, including Muwop, for their alleged roles in the murder of FBG Duck.
A federal jury has convicted 6 suspected gang members in the murder of rapper FBG Duck. The rapper was shot outside a luxury clothing store in Chicago on East Oak Street in April of 2020. His girlfriend and a shopper were also hurt. Prosecutors say the murder was the result of a violent gang war fueled in part by rap songs by Duck and a competing Chicago rapper.
The trial, which spanned more than 3 months, culminated in January 2024 with a federal jury finding 6 O-Block members guilty.
After a trial that lasted more than 3 months, a jury convicted 6 men for the murder of rapper FBG Duck.
The anonymous jury, composed of 5 men and 7 women, deliberated for 16 hours over the course of 3 days to reach their verdict. All 6 men were convicted of murder in aid of racketeering and conspiracy to commit murder, among other charges.
Jury in Chicago has found 6 gang members guilty for carrying out the brazen murder of drill rapper FBG Duck in August of 2020 right in the Gold Coast. The jury of 5 men and 7 women have remained anonymous during the trial out of fear of their lives. They deliberated for close to 16 hours over the course of 3 days before reaching a verdict. During the trial, prosecutors outlined a gang feud that was brewing for a week before the rapper was shot and killed. 6 men were convicted of murder in the aid of racketeering and conspiracy to commit murder. That carries a life sentence.
The charges were under the U.S. Code 1959, listed as violent acts in aid of racketeering, including count 1 of murder as part of a racketeering conspiracy, count 2 a firearms charge for the use of a weapon during a murder, count 3 attempted murder or conspiracy to commit murder, which carries a 10-year sentence, count 4 assault with a dangerous weapon or assault resulting in serious bodily harm, which can lead to up to 20 years in prison, and counts 5, 6, and 7 mirroring the earlier charges specific to the second victim. Tom Schubert, assistant criminal justice editor for the Chicago Sun-Times, provided real-time updates from the courtroom on January the 17th, 2024, and in his tweets, he would detail the ultimate verdicts. Charles C. Murder Liggins, age 32, an alleged shooter, was found guilty on 5 of 7 counts, with the jury concluding that he committed the murder and conspired to murder FBG Duck using a gun in the shooting and wounding Duck's girlfriend during the attack. But he was found not guilty of shooting another shopper on Oak Street and using a gun in relation to that shooting. Marcus Muwop Smart, age 24, another alleged gunman, was also found guilty on 5 counts, but found not guilty on 2 counts related to the shooting of Duck's girlfriend and using a gun in relation to that shooting. Christopher C. Thang Thomas, age 24, an alleged shooter, was found guilty of 5 of 7 counts, with jurors concluding that he committed the murder, conspired to murder Duck, used a gun during the shooting, and indeed wounded Duck's girlfriend. But he was found not guilty of shooting another shopper on Oak Street and using a gun in relation to that incident. To Carlos Los Offord, age 32, an alleged getaway driver was similarly found guilty on 5 counts, but not guilty of the 2 counts related to the shooting of Duck's girlfriend and using a gun in connection with that shooting. Kenneth Kenny Mac Robertson, age 30, another alleged getaway driver, faced the same 5 guilty verdicts and 2 not guilty verdicts as the others. And Ralph T.Z. Turpin, age 33, is set to be the first person to be sentenced on January the 14th, 2025, followed by C. Murder on January the 15th, Los on January the 16th, C. Thang on January the 21st, Kenny Mac on the 23rd, and finally Muwop on the 28th. Another 7th suspect, Zell Munna, real name Azel Rawls, had also been implicated in the murder of FBG Duck, but he would seemingly take himself off this earth before the trial for a number of reasons, likely with the pressure and guilt relating to the situation contributing somewhat to his mental breakdown at the time. Now, I did a full breakdown of the Zell story on this channel, so if you want to learn more about his dark story and how it ended in tragedy, go and check that out. You see, in April, Zell Munna would post lyrics on his Instagram saying that he's traumatized by homicides. Other images would circulate of Facebook statuses he'd apparently made around this time, suggesting that he had been struggling mentally. And then he was seen on IG Live apparently moving out of O Block after the apparent birth of a new child in May.
I'm moving out the trenches. I'm gonna follow that shit. At least you know.
Of course, there were comments calling him the Duck Slayer and suggesting that the ops will just follow him to wherever he moves. But then, on August the 24th, after posting cryptic, emotional stories to his Instagram, it's reported that Zell Munna took his own life, committing suicide. Muwop went on to post a tribute to his Instagram, but you have to wonder what must have hurt more: the loss of their friend Zell, or the unanswered questions about why he might have done this. He was long rumored to have been involved in Duck's murder, constantly receiving comments from people who seemed to know. His car was identified in the shooting, and a lot of speculation has gone around as to why he might have taken his own life. Did he know the cops were closing in? Had they already got to him? Some rumors have swirled that they had, and that he might have even snitched and taken himself out before the other members could have done it to him. But then again, when you consider the fact that he was apparently related to Slutty, T-Roy, and HK, perhaps the trauma of losing so many people so close to him just became too much. There was other speculation that his suicide was completely unrelated and had something to do with a woman, but regardless, Zell was gone and there were a lot of unanswered questions. Ultimately, like Von and D-Thang, Zell ended up avoiding justice for the murder of Duck and winding up facing a much darker fate. And so, with the remaining O Block 6 members convicted and expected to receive life sentences, a case that had captivated Chicago and beyond came to a grim conclusion. The O Block 6 case had been riddled with misfortunes for the suspects, particularly Muwop. By February 2024, the situation became so dire that Muwop's lawyer quit representing him due to unpaid fees.
Well, yeah, you made a video about this. You said that Muwop's lawyer actually quit the Fed case after he couldn't pay him anymore.
Yeah, he quit. Yup, he quit. He off the case. Muwop got to get a new lawyer. They actually set it back to February, so it was in August. So that let me know, like, they trying to make us some deals, man. They ain't gonna keep on pushing your court date back to 6 months and 6 months, bro. You gotta be up in there. You gotta be up in there doing some talking, man, for them to keep on pushing it back.
According to Trench's News on Vlad TV, the O Block 6 are financially strapped with no money coming in, no lawyers, and no one sending them any support.
Somebody finna tell it all, man, to get out. And they ain't gonna care what nobody think about them. For real, cause ain't nobody sending them no money. They ain't had no lawyers. Like, out of the whole O Block, you telling me all the Mary Jeans, all that stuff, can nobody patch up no money for no lawyers? The watches, the chains. If you my homie, you would gonna willing to sell everything for me. If you my real friend, to try to get me out knowing that I'm fighting for my life. You know, that's why I say ain't nobody no real friends.
Despite facing a potential life sentence, Muwop expressed hope in him coming home in a video call from jail.
You said, what do I want to tell everybody?
Yeah.
Is that I'm coming home.
And Trench's News hinted that all might not be lost yet for Muwop, as there's still a chance he could reduce his sentence down if he cooperated with the authorities, specifically testifying against Lil Durk.
You said that Muwop from O Block will be home after he snitches on Lil Durk?
Yeah, I mean, that's the only way he gonna get home. You know, he always comments, somebody in his family always drops something like, Muwop will be home, he said everybody left him. So I report about when they drop, when I see his family name or anybody, I report about it. And it's like, you wishing on a star, man. Everybody in jail wish they can come home, man. They gonna tell themselves, I got this beat. But really you don't.
Currently, Muwop is held at the Jerome Combs Detention Center on 3050 Justice Way, Kankakee, Illinois. In a recent email, Muwop expressed optimism about his situation, telling his friend Shoebox Baby, another up-and-coming rapper from Chicago who considers Muwop to be his big brother, that he might be out soon. This message suggests that Muwop may still not have quite come to terms with the harsh reality of his situation and is reaching out for support, asking his friends to help his mother however they can. Shoebox Baby would say in an interview with Truth Teller TV that a lot of guys left Muwop hanging and are skipping visits with him and not sending him money. However, he acknowledged the possibility of misinformation, stating that the internet does make up a lot of lies about people too.
And I was told a lot of guys left Muwop hanging. Motherfuckers is not hitting every visit. His books is not full from everybody sending money. I was told that, you know, people ain't doing Muwop right, you know. Now, I could be wrong. This internet love making up lies on people too. But I wanted to bring that to your attention. But Muwop, you know, did say he supports Shoebox music 100%. Remember, Shoebox was dropping songs dissing Butter, about Butter dissing, telling on Muwop and being at their court cases. And those are the type of songs that Muwop's supporting right now, you know.
Muwop's fate will be decided in early 2025, and to be honest, the outcome, though uncertain, doesn't look good. But ultimately, no matter how harsh your own upbringing or the tragic losses that you yourself have suffered, there's really no excuse for murder, especially the brutal, one-sided murder that FBG Duck suffered at the hands of O-Block shooters. In the end, Muwop will go down as a cautionary tale, a warning of one of the two tragic outcomes that are truly the only possible results of being a killer rapper who tells the whole world about your crimes. In the end, Muwop's relentless pursuit of street credibility through his music became a double-edged sword. His lyrics filled with braggadocio and vivid descriptions of violence may have boosted his reputation in the streets and the rap scene temporarily, but they ultimately caught the attention of law enforcement. And as Charlemagne from The Breakfast Club made clear, the authorities in this new era of rap are taking self-snitching very seriously.
For Thursday, October 14th, goes to the 5 individuals who were hit with the RICO over what law enforcement is calling a mob-style attack on a rapper known as FBG Duck, the RICO. Why, oh why do you rappers get online and tell on yourselves? Okay, your Uncle Charlemagne getting on this radio for years telling you to cut that out. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy when y'all do because you make law enforcement's job so easy, and I want that criminal element off the street as well. But what part of your brain makes you think that's okay? I've been on this radio for years telling you that what you do online will get you jammed up offline. FBI stands for Facebook and Instagram. The feds, okay, all you rappers who get on these social media platforms and talk about your ops you done killed, the feds are listening. They're watching. All these rappers who get on these social media platforms and talk about smoking on your ops, smoking your ops pack, or whatever the hell y'all young boys say. In the words of Charles Barkley, I guarantee it, you going to prison, okay?
It's important to note that during Muwop's trial, the court ruled that certain rap lyrics from his songs could be used as evidence against him. The argument was clear. Incriminating yourself in rap lyrics after committing a crime is neither discriminatory nor racist, it's simply accountability, especially when the victim is another young black man who had his own aspirations of rapping rather than being a killer. Unlike Bob Marley's metaphorical "I shot the sheriff," where no actual sheriffs were reportedly harmed, during the trial, the government introduced several drill songs and their videos as evidence against Muwop. One standout moment was Muwop's line in a snippet of an unreleased song where Muwop rapped casually about killing FBG Duck in a bar where he said, "Dude from 63rd couldn't get back up."
Dude from 63rd couldn't get back up. Knock a hold out the side when we spin wrap up. No applause clapped up. Yeah, we had to mask up another body that's a plus. Tuck it like I'm Russ.
And they even referenced the infamous music video for Took Her to the O by King Von, with the video of this song depicting an actor playing FBG Duck, as identified in lyrics from the song referring to Duck, and a mobile phone in the video showing a missed call from Duck. In this video, the fictional FBG Duck is seen smashing a brick, possibly a reference to FBG Brick, Duck's blood brother, who was also killed by GetBackGang, into Von's car. Von then steps out and shoots the Duck lookalike, leaving him dead on the ground in the music video, a scene that was disturbingly close to how FBG Duck was killed in real life just 6 months later. Members of O-Block, including Muwop, often rapped about the acts of violence that they committed, bragging about their criminal activities and taunting their rivals using platforms like YouTube and social media to amplify their message. And apparently, social media was truly being used by the feds too to solve open cases, according to reporting by Charlemagne.
Y'all are making law enforcement's job so easy. I mean, number one, like I said, I wish y'all didn't commit the crimes in the first place. I wish we had more opportunities to give these brothers so they don't commit these crimes in the first place. I wish these brothers had more access to mental health care resources so they could deal with their traumas so we don't, ever get to this point to where they're projecting, their pain on the other people and continuing to murder each other. But when we get here, when we get here and these things do happen, why are y'all on social media and in the studio bragging about the crimes you commit? Y'all hate snitches, but you guys are the snitches.
This afternoon, the I-Team talking with Chicago criminal defense attorney Tony Thedford about what he says is one of the most powerful tools prosecutors have.
There's a lot of allegations of back and forth online, or threats online, or videos posted back and forth that then led to retaliation, allegedly, which led to the death of this young man who was killed. And they are very strong tools that are now being used by law enforcement and the government to prosecute crime.
This story serves as a cautionary tale. Lyrics have power, and words have consequences. The use of King Von's lyrics in court helped establish him as the leader of O-Block and Muwop as his close associate. The decision by King Von to give Muwop and other O-Block members chains just 6 days after Duck's death was ill-timed and only further solidified the image of O-Block as a criminal enterprise. And when you rap about a crime you actually committed, you're not just telling a story, you're leaving a trail of evidence. The very tracks that were meant to solidify Muwop's status as a feared and respected figure in O-Block ultimately provided prosecutors with the evidence they needed to build a case against him.
One of the most powerful tools law enforcement has is y'all back and forth online. It's just all bad. You know, I'm actually glad that it's that easy for law enforcement to lock you up, because maybe, just maybe, it will make y'all think twice about committing these crimes in the first place. Why are y'all doing this? Why? Is it for social media attention? Huh? Because life for likes is not a fair trade.
What began as a way to cement his legacy in both the streets and the music industry ended up being his undoing, as the lines between reality and entertainment got blurred, leading to his legal downfall. The trend of self-snitching is seemingly getting completely out of hand, and no amount of warning from the sidelines of social media seems to be making a difference.
I hope it was worth it to kill somebody, you know, and exchange your life for theirs. Because that's essentially what you're doing. You took yourself out of the game. And these rap songs, these drill music, you know, where they talk about, you know, smoking on your ops and you know, and they go bibby and whatever the they're talking about, you know, when they talk about killing people. I mean, it's so murderous. It's so ridiculous. You know, I hope to God somebody's watching this and takes note that the senseless death of young black men in cities around the country related to gang violence is not worth it. It's not worth it.
Ultimately, Muwop's story serves as a stark reminder that in the quest for street validation, the consequences can be severe, and in this case, tragically, irreversible. So let this be a lesson to anybody watching. If you're lucky enough to be alive in 2024, with all the tools and technology to make something of yourself, please do something positive. Create and contribute something of value to society, rather than dragging down your community and dishing out pain to those around you that you disagree with. And if you must get into the streets, which I would never recommend, and I don't want to condone or glorify, for the love of God, please don't rap, tweet, or gram about it for the whole world to see, or you very well may end up facing life in prison.